Peace, love, and prosperity to all of humanity on planet Earth. I am Abdul Smith Bey, Wazir of AMPAG. Today we'll be discussing what is nationality. Well, it's a perfect segue to the last class, which was Moors are not Americans. Well, Americans, then what's our nationality, right? Well, we discussed it. We're Moroccans. We're not Americans. We're not Americans. We're not Americans. And we certainly aren't Moorish Americans. The Prophet made it pretty clear, keeping in mind that his literature has to be read with discernment. It's got to be carefully read, because we already know that his literature has been corrupted. Doesn't mean that the Prophet wasn't right. What it means is that he was corrupted. His information was corrupted and sold out by a lot of the dirty Moors and fezzes and turbans that the Prophet warned us about. Can y'all continue? Can y'all still hear me good? I just don't, gotta make sure. Can y'all hear me well?
Yes, can hear you.
Islam. All right. So yeah, so we spoke on us not being Americans. We went over the reference points to show and prove that we're not Americans. The master contract, the original agreement, which was a treaty of peace and friendship, says it all. iPhone, there we go. iPhone, thank you. It says it all, right? It's between two parties. It's between two countries. It's between two nations, the Moroccans and the Americans. Therefore, you cannot be Moorish American. And Moors believe that we're Americans and that the United States belong to us, partially because of the misinformation as to who established the United States, right? So you understand that Moors helped the colonists, right, to establish the United States of America, the original de jure government. But then you got to identify the party. What type of Moors was it that helped the Europeans? Well, we all know that they were the British Moors, or as Moors would like to say, brutish Moors. Okay, fair enough. But that understood. Where in the Prophet's literature, anywhere in the Prophet's literature, someone please share this reference point with me. Where in his literature did he ever say that we were British? Can anyone answer that question? Is there anywhere in the Prophet's literature in which he stated that we were British in any way, shape, form, or fashion? I'm listening. Sounds like I got crickets here. No one can answer that question because it doesn't exist. Question 31 of the 101s, he asked, the question and answer was specifically, what is the modern name of the Moabites? The answer was Moroccans.
You said
the misnomer.
I said that
iPad, you just suddenly went off mute. Please, could you go on mute? Thank you. Makes me lose my train of thought. What was I? Question 15, the misnomer question, or question and answer, where it says, why are we Moorish Americans? Well, it says because you're the descendants of Moroccans. Okay, so you say you're descendants of Moroccans. Then chapter 47, he specifically stated that the Moabites, i.e. Moors, are the founders and true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So then therefore we're Moroccans. If we're the founders and true possessors of the Moroccan Empire, you can't be the founders and true possessors of the Moroccan Empire and be Americans. Common sense. It's Morocco, not America. It is Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa, Morocco of the farthest west, not America of the farthest west. That point has been made clear on the last video. The good brother Jay Bay has been pointing that out in the past couple of videos. What else can we say? If you don't get it, it's not meant for you. Perhaps you are a Moorish American. So if the British Moors helped the Americans establish America, that means then that the British Moors are actually the Moorish Americans. Does that make sense? These were Moors who helped establish America. Therefore, they would be the Moorish Americans, if there was such a thing. But us, the indigenous people of the land, what's the name of the land? Morocco. So us as the indigenous peoples of the land, but obviously make us Moroccans. This is not difficult at all, Moors. I mean, I just don't understand the pushback from a lot of Moors. So so the prophet said, if you do nothing else, at minimum, proclaim your nationality. Well, I wonder if Moors have ever examined those two words, 3 words: declare, proclaim, and nationality. So just, I've got a Black's Law Dictionary pulled up, but let's go with the most basic elementary research that any child can pull up to determine what's what, based on what the prophet told us to do. And what did he tell us to do? Study, study, study. He said it 3 times. Nowadays, Moors, they need to double up on that. And what they need to do is study, 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 and study again. Because for some reason, they continue to cling on to names that allude to slavery. They won't let go. They'll let go of one and take on another one. So he said, okay, you can't be 2 continents. Therefore, you cannot be African American. That's true. Well, same token, if you can't be 2 different continents, then you can't be 2 countries. You can't be Brazilian Chile. You can't be Chinese Korean. You can't be, Nigerian Egyptian. You can't be Puerto Rican Panamanian. Well, then you can't be Moorish American or Moroccan American. It's 2 different countries. So they let go of African American and they hold on with a tight grip to the term Moorish American. If you do nothing else, proclaim your nationality. So what is to proclaim? What does proclaim mean? Merriam-Webster's dictionary, basic, elementary research. A proclamation or proclaiming means to declare publicly, typically insistently, proudly, or defiantly, and in either speech or writing. That's answer A. Definition A. Definition B is to give outward indication of. Okay? To declare or declare to be solemnly, officially, or formally. Then the other one says to praise or glorify openly or publicly. Fair enough. So it's a verbal decree or a writ or affidavit. Something or whatever in writing, right? So it's telling the world that you're a Moor. I'm a Moor. So what is the takeaway from that? Well, he also told us that we were not Negroes, blacks, and colors. So if you do nothing, at least proclaim that you are a Moor. Let go of the ideology of you being Negroes, blacks, and colors and tell the world that you are a Moor. When someone approach you, you let them know, I'm a Moor. If they incorrectly call you a black, a Negro, or a color, you say, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, ma'am. That's not who I am. I am a Moor. That's your proclamation. That's your verbal proclamation. Can everyone agree with that? And if not, what is your feedback? I yield the floor. No feedback? Well, at least does everyone agree with what I just said?
Islam, agree, brother.
Agreed.
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 Okay, Islam,
Wholeheartedly.
wholeheartedly. So you tell the
Islam.
people, so you're telling the world that you're a Moor, right? You letting, whether it be based in writing or your verbal decree, you're telling the world that you're a Moor. Okay, so that's proclamation. When he says, proclaim your nationality, what is declare? To make known formally, officially, or explicitly, publicly declared her opposition to the plan, right? That's a sentence to illustrate the definition. To make known as a determination. The judge declared the defendant fit to stand trial. She was declared the rightful heir to the throne. So this is what a declaration is. So if you're declaring that you're a Moor, once again, you're proclaiming it, right? It's synonymous. It is to make known formally, officially, or explicitly. So you're letting the world know, hey, I'm a Moor. Don't call me Negro, blacks, and colored. That's not who I am. That's your proclamation, verbal proclamation, and or declaration. Mike, please. It's weird how people just end up just popping up off of mute. I don't know how that happens. You have to like literally hit unmute yourself. I don't know how that, please stay on mute. So proclamation and declaration. If there's nothing else that you do on this earth, Moors, please at least proclaim your nationality. Let the people know, let the Europeans know, let whoever know who may be using misnomers when addressing you, you correct them and you let them know that you are a Moor. If you don't do nothing else, if you want to be passive and inactive, and you don't want to carry on my laws, and you don't want to study, then at least just tell the people that you're a Moor. But that doesn't mean that when you get pulled over, that when you say you're a Moor, that I say, oh, yes, sir, I apologize for even pulling you over. Have a good day. As we all know, it doesn't work that way, right? Why is that?
Not yet.
What was that?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, if you say not yet, yet is the key. Yet is the key word, or at least not
Right.
yet is a key term.
Right. They don't know. They're not taught. It's not openly known who we are, because they have the same education we have. They have the same upbringing that we had. They have not had their indoctrination broken by the truth yet. So us explaining who we are on the side of the road, that's not what we're supposed to do. Period.
Islam, no, it's not. But they do cover the Moors through a whole week of police training. Because I have a homegirl that went through it, and she left after that. She said I couldn't do it no more. She said just to know that they would try to act like they don't know what you're saying when they make sure that they cover this. Because it's a lot of people that are trying to push this, but it's not speaking or having paperwork correct. And of course, we know that goes back into having a statehood. I digress.
Islam.
Peace. I didn't know that one. So that's not.
I didn't either.
And that's out of the Pennsylvania territory. So to think that they're not like communicating across the state lines would be very stupid of us.
Well, then, okay, Islam. So then at what point when they pull us over, because Brother Mario said not yet. I was looking for a specific answer. You kind of touched on it, Sister Jana.
Yeah. Once statehood is known publicly and internationally, that's when it'll kick in.
More correctly,
it's that Constitution.
More specifically, because you're dancing around the correct answer, Marius. More specifically, when they finally acquiesce to Moroccan law, right? When they finally submit to our laws, when they're going to say, "Oh, sorry, sir, I apologize for pulling you over. You may go on the road."
Islam.
When they finally fall under our authority our Moroccan laws, and they will do so, whether it's by settling out of court or if we have to take them to the ICJ. We're prepared for either or. We're training for a 15-round bout. It's 12 rounds, we're going 15 on them. We're ready for 15. And they're gonna lose. They're in a chokehold. So that day is coming. But it's based in your your true national standing, meaning that you're under the protections of your state. Never will it happen without your three branches of government protecting you. And this is what we've been doing thus far. Oh, I'm a Moor. This is my land. I'm an Aboriginal, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, let's go. Straight to the jail cell. You go. And in the Rodney Burton case, United States versus Rodney Burton, they literally told him, what you're saying is patently frivolous. And they gave him an opportunity to show and prove what's coming out of his mouth. They literally say this is just your verbal decree. Well, where's the proof of your declaration, your verbal declaration? So you can make the proclamation, you can make the declaration, but now do you have proof to back it up as it relates to dealing with them in the courts, right? But out here on the streets, wherever you're at, you can always say, oh, no, I'm a Moor. You gotta, and they gotta respect it. Why? Not because you're a Moor, it's because you stand on who you are. If someone says, I'm a dog, don't call me human, I'm a dog. Okay, well, fair enough. I'll just call you a dog then. It's based on your self-determination, where the average people would just say, okay, well, if that's what you said, then I gotta respect it, right? But when it comes to the court of law, you gotta come with documentary evidence. We all know this. You gotta have evidence. You gotta show and prove and back up what you're saying verbally. You can't just say, sir, Your Honor, I didn't kill that guy. And that's just gonna stand because you said so. You gotta show and prove evidence or documents to back up our claim, and we can just say what we want to say. Now, sometimes we do come with what we think is evidence, and that would be a written affidavit or something to that effect, but that has nothing to do with the proper protections that you should be receiving from your state. So then that brings us to nationalism. What is nationalism? Okay. What does that say here? 3A, national status. A legal relationship involving alliance on the part of an individual and usually protection on the part of the state. This is just Merriam Dictionary. It's not this dictionary. This is the Black's Law Dictionary here. That ain't in Black's Law Dictionary. Just the Merriam Dictionary, just a quick Google search, and you can identify these things. Nationality, a legal relationship involving allegiance on the part of an individual. So you took an oath in allegiance to a state, and usually protection on the part of the state. Period. Membership, look at B, membership in a particular nation. Membership in a particular nation. What is that? What is the sentence that to support the definition? It says they're Vietnamese nationality. I hope, can y'all see my screen properly?
Yes,
Let me.
It's
Yes. Do number 4.
So someone said do number 4. Okay, well, you do number 4. Read for me, brother.
Political independence. Our existence as a separate nation. Love it.
I love it too. Just a basic research. It doesn't require, you don't have to pull up, like, I'm not even going over international law right now. This is just, the Moors took the time to examine these words. Speaking for myself, no, not until now. I was in fellowship, right? And I'm still in fellowship, but there's 2 different degrees of fellowship. These ads keep popping up. You got blind fellowship and you got scholarly fellowship. The good brother Jay Bay has put us all in the status of scholarly fellowship, if you will. Why am I saying that? because everything comes with reference points. You actually can go back and research the material because what's being discussed is being shown to you and told to you where to go find it. Or if it's not being told, then you can ask, because we're on the call together, right? You can always ask, oh, where do I get this from and how do I get it? Can you share with me? Whatever. But the point is that there's reference points that cannot be contested that's being shown to make the point clear, versus just people rambling and you're just going along with it because they got a fez on, and you're taken by the fact that you are a Moor, which in and of itself is a powerful thing, that you can acquiesce to your national identity like that, to the degree where you'll just do whatever is being said because, oh, I'm a Moor. But in reality, that's not competency. Competency means that you go back and you check the record. Taj Tariq Bey always said, don't believe me, go look it up. Well, we just simply believed them and didn't look it up, right? We should have done some research, and just all you had to do was look up what's proclamation, declaration, what is nationality, nationalism, anything. So we see here, political independence or existence as a separate nation. What is number 5? A people having a common origin, tradition, and language, and capable of forming or actually constituting a nation state. What is the what should I say? The diverse nationalities of the Austro-Hungarian Empire desired independence. That's the what's the word? Is it not sentence? What's the word am I looking for, y'all? Help me out here. Sentence. Let's say a sentence, and it's not a sentence, but to support the definition, right? Not a sentence. I mean, what's the word? Come on, y'all. Y'all got to know it. I just said it. Whatever. I'll move on from there. An ethnic group constituting one element of a larger unit, such as a nation. The country is home to 5 nationalities. So what's the most germane definition here? A legal relationship involving allegiance on the part of an individual, and usually protection on the part of the state. So anyone who takes an allegiance to Maru State Republic, to DIMTY, to AMPAM, they fall under the protection of that state. Okay. Let's make the point even more clear. Back to the expatriation document. What does it say here, 2 and 3? Marius, you want to read 2 and 3 for me? It says 2 and 3 right here. If you can read it, I think you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. 2 and 3. Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized and are protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. It wasn't. Go ahead.
No, that's it right there. Thank you. Moorish subjects lost their nationality. Period. Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized and or protected. So the definition said that your allegiance under another state, and your protection under another state. So if you're not under your own state, if you're not protected under your state and you fall under the protections of another state, you lost your nationality. Now you became a Negro, Black, colored, African American, or whatever misnomer they wish to put upon you. Number 1 says that citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered Moorish subjects. Okay, so what does the definition say? A legal relationship involving allegiance on the part of an individual and usually protection on the part of the state. What's the key word here? What is the key word or the
Protection.
What was that? Say it again, Marius.
Protection.
Say it again.
Protection, protection, protection.
That's the key word. Protection. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection. So if you proclaim your nationality, that's not taking an allegiance. If you declare your nationality, that's not taking an allegiance. You can't proclaim your nationality or declare your nationality and suddenly think that you're under protections. It's nonsensical. It's asinine. And by the way, nationality is conferred through your state. Shout outs to the good brother C. Cannon Bay from Utah. That's where I first learned this principle. Nationality is conferred through the state, not a temple, not an organization, and definitely not no website of no sort. No sort of paperwork process where you're charging people $200 and then you don't even send the information. But even if you did send the information, they didn't get what they paid for. They were seeking to establish their nationality. So you charge somebody $200, the process don't work, and you don't send the information. And then when they call you, you don't want to answer the phone. And you just flipping phones, you're flipping names, you're changing your name, you're changing your phone numbers. And then you get mad at me because I shared the phone number. Like, nah, brother, here's the correct phone number, direct phone number. Call that person, harass that person to get your money back. And then you want to turn around and get mad at me? Let another Moor call me and tell me that they were scammed by you. And see if I don't give them your phone number. You're lucky I ain't got your address. This package selling consultation BS will stop here in Morocco. It will stop. These Moroccan states are, excuse me, these Moroccan states are here to put an end to colonists.
Islam and Islam.
Because anyone who continuously keep selling their own people packages that don't even work, you are working for the colonists, whether directly or indirectly. Why you don't sell packages to the Europeans? Why you don't prey on them? Why you got to prey on your own people? Innocent Moors, some of which are just coming into the movement, seeking to correct their status. And it's one thing for you not to know, right? It's one thing for you to have been led astray yourself. But once you come to the proper realization of the truth, that's when it should stop. It shouldn't continue on. That person was given a chance. No more chances. Everyone deserves a chance, but not everybody deserves 2 and 3 chances, especially as it relates to the sovereignty of the Moors. You yourself got locked up behind this. You come now and you start learning about the proper way of nationalizing through your Moroccan state government, and you still want to keep charging. You want to call it a consultation. You know how many consultations I do, y'all? I'm always on the phone with Moors, constantly calling me. $1,000 a day easily if I were to people $35 a half hour or $70 for the hour. I digress. Let me stop. Let me go on to the next move, to the next point of interest. But this was important to discuss. We ain't having this in Morocco anymore. All this, I call it paper terrorism. All this paper terrorism is going to stop one way or another. The WRC will see to it. Okay. Can y'all see my mouse? You see how it's running? I don't know what has taken place today, but I thought I fixed that issue and it's back in effect. You see how it's running. Eventually it's going to stop. Look at it. It's slowing down. It's stopping. Oh, goodness. I don't know. Are there any IT tech type people on the line that know about computers? Because for some reason, my mouse.
What kind of security? What kind of web protection you got?
Oh, I don't know. The regular stuff that come with it. I don't have anything special.
Ah,
with it.
that might be one of your problems right there.
You
What-
need
where's
that
the-
VPN.
So you saying that someone is moving the mouse on me from another?
No, what I'm saying is there's always issues with security and people still hacking. So I would suggest you invest in some protective software. That Trend Micro is what I have. It's really good. I've been using it for years.
Okay, we'll
but,
talk about that.
All right.
Okay, Islam, we'll talk about that. I got to get that settled. But it
All
stopped.
right.
You see how it stopped?
Mhm.
It's crazy. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, so back to the point. So we understand what nationality is. A legal relationship involving allegiance on the part of an individual and usually protection on the part of the state. Political independence or existence as a separate nation. Sovereignty and independence, not subjugation. Not being under their jurisdiction, like, for example, your Indian reservations. Indian reservations are not sovereign or independent or autonomous. They call the United States their great father. The Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court, has jurisdiction over Indians. That's not the treaty. Those aren't treaties that you want to be a part of. You can go back and read the McGirt versus Oklahoma case, and it exposed that. The judge said that supreme treaties are the supreme law of the land. In that particular case, what is a national? Can anyone read those two definitions for me, please?
I'll read it. One that national, noun, one that owes allegiance to or is under the protection of a nation without regard to more formal status of citizen or subject.
Oh. Okay, we just hit another keyword, the same keyword. What's that keyword, good brother, that was just reading?
Formal status of citizen or subject.
No, sir.
Citizen.
No, we discussed that keyword earlier.
Oh, the protection
Yeah.
of a nation. Protection of a nation.
Protection. A national is under protection. True national. So if you're not under the protection of your own state, then you're not a national. So stop calling yourself a Moorish American national. You're not a national. You're a Moorish American citizen. Period. That's why they can lock you up, because they have civil and criminal jurisdiction over you. They can't just lock up a Chinese national. They'll have to deal with their consul court, or whatever dignitary they may have appointed to deal with these matters. One that owes allegiance. One that owes allegiance. That's the second key word over here. A legal relationship involving allegiance. So you got allegiance and you got protection. Let me try to highlight that. Doing the best I can. Protection, right? Come back over here. National, nation. You see, can y'all see the word that I highlighted? Can y'all break that Do y'all see the breakdown by me just compound word?
Al.
Oh, the owls, El, Bay, De, Ali, Al, nation, and Al. The nation of the Moors. So the root word to national, nationality, nationalization is nation. Period. So what is a nation? We'll get into that. So one that owes allegiance to or is under the protection of a nation. Open link and new tab. Without regard to the more formal status of citizen or subject. Okay, let's go back to the expatriation document. I don't know why I have to keep doing this to do that, but that's fine. Something is up with my computer today. Maybe it is my protections. So I got
Their protection comes up again, huh?
yeah. I gotta nationalize my computer. Okay. So look at what he said in the very beginning. Sir, there are strictly speaking no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. We're not citizens. There is no such thing as citizenship. Either you're a national or a subject. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subject of citizenship. Okay. Back over here. Without regard to the more formal status of citizen or subject, which means a national is the highest designation on the land. So, excuse me, when you go to Brazil and you don't do naturalization. My computer is giving me some messages. Low system resources may affect your audio quality, whatever. Okay. We don't do naturalization. We do nationalization. So there's a more out there that said that we're naturalizing people. Okay, well, we call ourselves Moroccans. We say that we are in Morocco, all of which is in fact and truth. So if you are a Moroccan, how can I naturalize you into Morocco? Makes no sense. This is how I know Moors ain't studying or even thinking. So they're going to naturalize a Brazilian into Brazil. Naturalization is when you're going into a separate nation. So if a Moroccan takes up an allegiance with Nigeria, they just naturalize themselves to become Nigerians. But if you want, which is expatriation. So what we're doing is repatriating. So if that same Moroccan decides, okay, I've had enough with Nigeria, I'm gonna go back home to Morocco. He's not gonna naturalize back home. He's gonna nationalize, repatriate back into his country of origin. Come on, what are we talking about here? And that more, I specifically offered a dialogue to go through the reference points to show and prove what it is that we're doing, to clarify what it is that we're doing. That person declined, said, meeting and instead went on to make a slander video. The sheer ignorance of our people. Y'all heard Jay Bay say it often. We are delaying our own justice. Period. So what is a nation? What is the root word of a nation? So the definition is nation, which is a noun. And look what comes up as the first answer: nationality. Nation, nationality. All of which starts with the word nation. A politically organized nationality. A nation is a politically organized nationality. So we are organizing our nationality to become an organized dual society. I mean, this is just too simple. It's too easy. I don't understand why we haven't done this simple, basic research. B, a community of people composed nations here. Germans, British, what else? French people. They're all called white, right? And then you got Moroccans, and they're all called black. It's because it is a municipal corporation. You got to put you in a dead status because the whole state, the organization itself, which is disguising himself as a government or a de jure government, the whole entire international organization, which is what the United States is referred to as in international law, is a dead corpse in it of itself. So everybody's civil litter mortuus. I don't know why the Moors say, oh, black people are civil litter mortuus, dead in the eyes of law, as if we're the only ones. No, everybody is civil litter mortuus. Everybody. White people are civil litter mortuus. They too have their names in all caps, It ain't like it's just Moors or black people. Their names is in all caps as well. They are also considered as persons or corporations, which means they too are dead in the eyes of law. This is what happened when they established the Act of Congress of 1871, when they enacted it. They killed everybody on paper and turned them into dead corpse. So they escheated their own citizens. This is the reason why their citizens are livid, irate with the government. Those who have come into the know, especially during the lockdown. A lot of those people, they call themselves patriots, etc. They have come to the knowledge they want the United States of America, the Republic, back. That's why you had this insurrection. These people are coming to the knowledge of this, that they too have been cheated out of their own national identity. C, a territorial division containing a body of people of one or more nationalities and usually characterized by relatively large size and independent status. We won't have anything like that. Well, we could potentially have that happen because once the United States of Morocco come back into existence, I believe that everyone will vacate the United States and come pledge their allegiance with Morocco. Over a period of time, United States of America and the United States International Organization will no longer be, because all their citizens are probably going to abandon it, vacate it, and come to Morocco. Because over here, we're all about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the upliftment of all of humanity.
Interjection, my good brother.
What was that?
Interjection, quickly.
Please, go ahead.
The word believe has in it, as part of the syllabus, the word lie. So we're not believing, we're going to either know or we don't know. And in this context, based on what you've just said, we know for sure, however how long it may take, that the kingdom will be restored to its origin.
The empire.
The empire, Islam, brother.
and I stand corrected. We know. Anyone else? I yield the floor for any comments, concerns up to this point. Questions?
You're doing an excellent job, brother.
Excellent, brother. Gratitude, brother. I appreciate that. Don't put tears in my eyes now. I'm real sensitive and very emotional when it comes to this subject because I know that we've been sold out. And it pisses me off, excuse my language. We've been sold out by Negroes without fezzes and turbans, and we were sold out by Negroes with fezzes and turbans. Specifically, the Moorish American Society of Philadelphia. I will continue calling them out for the rest of my life. It's documented. Resolution 75. They took part in the thorough and speedy Americanization of the former Moors. 1933. They didn't even wait 5 years till after the prophet was assassinated to pull this stunt on us. I ain't having it. I will continue to expose because I know them for a fact. There's others that I believe have sold us out, but it's the belief, right? It's conjecture. So I can speak on that. Not publicly, at least. In private, I do all day, every day. But if it has been determined, if there are facts and proof, oh, I'm taking you to the cleaners. You're gonna have to answer to that. Moorish American Society of Philadelphia. Y'all need to answer to that. Resolution 75 of 1933. Continuing on. So I couldn't find the proper the definition that I was looking for nationalization, but I knew I had seen it somewhere, so I saw it on vocabulary.com. Some specific terminology that I need more to understand what nationalization is. So this is the basic meaning. Nationalization is when something that's been privately owned switches to being controlled by the government, right? In the United States, airport security went through nationalization in 2001, becoming a government agency, right? At one point, it was a private agency. But this is the more germane definition. Can somebody read that, please? And I hope that you can see it. I hate to have to blow this up and go through this again. Let me try to blow it up a little bit. Definition 2.
Definition 2, the action of forming or becoming a nation.
Simple. Simple. Why on planet Earth have we not done this basic research? Why are we in a trick bag believing that we gain our nationality through a website, through a temple, through a church, through an organization? I don't get it. That's called indoctrination. The colonists, right? We get smart and recognize that we're Moors, and we go into the Moorish paradigm, and then now we're dealing with a separate form of indoctrination. Now we've double indoctrinated. And to make matters worse, you end up going to jail. Someone has something to say? Basic research, elementary research. This ain't nothing special. I mean, it's just Merriam Dictionary, vocabulary.com. You can go to Wikipedia, you'll see all the same stuff. What does the Treaty of Madrid say? In the footnote. A U.S. note of March 17, 1959, addressed to the Moroccan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, referred to a note from the ministry dated October 8, 1958, in which the embassy has been informed that the Moroccan government had decided to strike all prescription relating to Moroccan nationality. I read all that to read that. They were trying to strike our Moroccan nationality off of Article 15 of the Treaty of Madrid. From the text of the Madrid Convention, the U.S. note said, in part, the government of the United States of America, having unilaterally relinquished certain rights in Morocco with the re-emergence of Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco, let's be specific here. You see how they do? They're playing with the words, using code. You have to discern it. With the re-emergence of the Kingdom of Morocco into not even independence, but when they talk about independence, it's really describing their independence from the French protectorate under the Treaty of Fez of 1912. They wanted independence from that because the Sultan at the time in 1912 gave away the authority of Morocco to France. So the only way for them to get away from that is to establish the Kingdom of Morocco, and that's the reason why the Sultan of 1956 decided to become king and establish a modern state known as the Kingdom of Morocco to gain his independence from the French protectorate. But that ain't got nothing to do with us. It's not a matter of independence from colonization. We are about to get ready. We're getting ready. We're making a push to force decolonization in Morocco with our several, declarations of independence or declaration of statehood. So it says Morocco, reemergence of Morocco into independence in 1956 considers that in line with historical developments, Article 15 of the Madrid Convention on Protection of 1880 has become obsolete and without effect. So they want it to become obsolete and without effect. In case we don't know how it reads, or if we forgot how it reads, let's see why they're attempting to do this. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country. So when we were naturalized, okay. More subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in or protected by another country. Okay, let's go right below right here. This is Article 15 right here because he's reaffirming it. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country. Come on, y'all. Wake up and smell the coffee. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country and who shall return to Morocco shall, after having remained for a length of time equal to that which shall have been regularly necessary, such naturalization, we are not naturalizing our people. You can't naturalize your people if you're bringing them back into their proper status. The act of bringing them back into their proper status is nationalization. The act of taking on an allegiance to another country is naturalization. Usually by your consent, you decide that you wanted to leave Brazil and move to China. However, with us, it was against our consent. We didn't even know we were being naturalized. We were pulled, with the power of the pen, we were literally pulled out of our protections as Moors, or at least Moorish subjects. Moorish subjects had more protections than Negroes, blacks, and coloreds, because the Moorish subject had the right to petition consular court for his protections against the United States, pursuant to Article 20 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. If there's any disputes with the United States, you're supposed to petition consular court, which is why Dred Scott was found as a plaintiff in error, because he approached it as a citizen by petitioning the Supreme Court. Just like you're a citizen, you're not a citizen. Moors aren't citizens. Nowhere on planet Earth, never have been and never have been and never will be. We are either subjects or nationals. So the 1870 Naturalization Act, literally by the use of the pen, they pulled us out of our protected status as a sub. And by the way, we had the right to petition consular court all the way on up till 1956, because again, up until then, the empire was still in existence. The king vacated the seat, vacated the office, vacated the government to establish the kingdom. That's why the empire is in a shallow grave in the West. So now we even double messed up, but not so bad, not so much, because all we needed to do was come to this knowledge and then act on it. Be active and not passive, which is what we're doing now. But literally by the stroke of a pen, they said, okay, you're national, you're citizens. You are naturalized citizens without us even knowing it. Like, wow. And they got away with it because keep in mind, the Treaty of Madrid came out in 1880. The Naturalization Act came out in 1870. Why didn't the Sultan do something about that then? Well, he did, but not to them directly. What he did was give us a nationality clause, which is what we're reading now, Article 15. But in various parts of the document, especially Article 11, he legalized colonization in Morocco for all the colonists, allowed them to expand westward and erect buildings and all this stuff. That's why they ended up way in the West Coast and all throughout Morocco, just roaming, erecting buildings and holding property. Holding, not owning, holding property. So it goes on to say, of time equal to that which shall have been regularly necessary for him to obtain such naturalization. Choose between entire submission to the laws of the empire and the obligation to quit Morocco, unless it shall be proved that his naturalization in a foreign country was obtained with the consent of the government of Morocco. They can't prove that the naturalization was based on the consent from the government of Morocco. And he already knew that. However, Moors, if you choose to ignore this mandate of paragraph 1, this is what should happen to you, or will happen to you. Can a matriarch please read the second paragraph? Any matriarch.
Foreign nationalization beforehand acquired
No, Paul, hold up. It doesn't say that beforehand. Read it again.
Oh, sorry, I'm on my phone. Foreign nationalization heretofore acquired by subjects of Morocco, according to the rules established by the laws of each country, shall be continued to, what's that word?
It's them. It's misspelled, but it's them.
It's
To them.
them as regards all its effects without any restriction.
What was the last part that you just said?
Without any restrictions.
I didn't hear you clearly, and I don't think the panel heard you clearly. Could you please repeat that again?
Without any restriction.
Foreign naturalization from here on out, right? Heretofore, acquired by subjects of Morocco, according to the rules established by the laws of each country. When they say each country, is because the Treaty of Madrid is a multilateral treaty with Morocco and several other colonists, European powers, such as the United States, France, Germany, etc. Right? According to the laws of each, which means that a lot of Moors will be naturalized across Morocco, because if those countries have been summoned to this country That means that they're under the authority of who? Morocco. Which means then that it's Morocco. Which means then that Moroccan laws reign supreme in Germany. And the Moroccans there, it's up to them to do either paragraph 1 or remain subjugated and deal with paragraph 2. But we're talking about Northwest of Mexum, Morocco of the farthest west, which our battle here is with the United States, right? So foreign naturalization heretofore acquired by subjects of Morocco, according to the rules established by the United States, shall be continued to them as regards all its effects without any restrictions. This is what's going to happen to us if we don't do what paragraph 1 says. That's why he said at the bottom, the above ruling, see, this is a ruling. The above ruling has never yet been acted upon, and should this at any time be contemplated seriously, a large number of naturalized people, American and others, residing in Morocco will be affected thereby. Oh yes, y'all about to deal with this because we are contemplating it seriously at this time. Yeah, we slept from 1880. We didn't contemplate it seriously at all. In the meantime, we were marching and praying, begging and pleading, integration, civil rights, right? Affirmative action, Jesse Jackson, Million Man marches, $1. Every black man should put $1 in a plate, in the collection plate. You see how they do us? It's all they suck our neighborhoods dry, and the people that show up to these things are not necessarily millionaires, though there could have been some that were millionaires, and some of which who don't. So if every black man, somebody came off mute, please go back on mute. So if every black man put $1 into the collection plate, then that means Farrakhan just made $1 million. It's a Million Man march. And that's the minimum. But some people put in 100, some put in 50, some put 10, some put 5. And what happened after that? Nothing. Got a mansion. Somebody please keep yourself on mute, please, whoever that is, please, 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 please. You know? Hired him a personal hairstylist to keep his part perfect. With his nice slick hair. Looking like Fard Muhammad. I don't mean to offend anyone, because I know there's some people out there that are hardcore Muslims, but let's keep it real. The truth is the truth. And we're here to speak the truth. So with that, if we don't choose between entire submission of the laws of the empire, which is really saying to choose between American jurisdiction and Moroccan jurisdiction, if you don't do that, then all the laws of the country will apply to you without any restrictions. So legally and lawfully, they have been warring against us. And which is why the United Nations couldn't get involved, also because they're simply an organization, they're not a state. And then other nations couldn't get involved because they're doing as the treaties say. That means that there's only one people that can save the Moors. Who are those? Who is the one nation of people, or it's the only ones on planet Earth that can save the Moors? Somebody tell me.
Moors themselves.
Somebody said the Moroccans. Yes. The other man said Moors themselves. Yes. We have to pull up our big boy pants and our big girl skirts and get to work. It's up to us. It's our self-determination to put an end to this. By doing what? Choosing between the entire submission of the laws of the empire. Well, at the time that this was written, that meant that you just simply go back to the empire. You consent back to the government that was in existence, right? You sign an application, or you put forth an application to go back into your original government. Well, what's the problem today in modern times of 2023? Keeping in mind that was 1880, 2023. Do the math. I don't know. That's over 100 years, obviously, right? 200 years, close to. So what is the modern way of doing it? You have to establish your state government, because there is no government for you to repatriate to. There is no government for you to go claim your allegiance. And so this is the problem with Moors, by the way. We think that the nation exists. We're a nation of people. Yeah, we're a nation of subjugated people, but where's the nation? Where can you go to petition anything? What's the address of the consular court? What's the name of the judge? What's the name of the head of state of our nation? We're operating on an illusion. We think that the Moroccan Empire is around and it's all good and they're there and we can, no, it's not. It's been buried in a shallow grave. Masonic secret. Masonic allegory. Jubila, jubilo, jubilum. Hit Hiram Abiff upside his head, knocked him unconscious, buried him in a shallow grave. Masonic allegory. But what's the key word here? Unconscious. Why is that a key word? Because it didn't say dead. So the empire ain't dead. The people ain't dead. We're unconscious. We forgot who we are. Y'all want to know who the original sellout was? I'm gonna tell you who the original sellout was. Well, not the original sellout, but one of the major sellouts. It was our sisters, our mothers, more particularly speaking. Come on, don't take it personal. Don't take it bad. It's the reason why I'm saying that. I'm making a point. Got to upset you a little bit just to get my point across. Once upon a time, these so-called white men would roll upon you with their goons and their guns and threaten your sons and your daughters and told you, keep your mouth shut about this history and your child would remain alive. But if you open your mouth, we're going to kill them. So the motherly instinct kicked in. The protection of a child kicked in. And she did exactly just that. And within one generation, the history was lost and we forgot who we were. They operated through our sisters, through our mothers, through our matriarchs. No fault of her own. I mean, what was she going to do? The men were subjugated in chains. Well, there were no men to protect that woman. So she had to say, well, hell, it is what it is. I won't say anything. Please keep my child alive. So then that means, if that was the case then, that means that today, matriarchs, y'all got to open your mouth now. Now y'all got to scream at the top of your lungs and let the world know what's going on. We got your back. And we're doing it through 3 branches of government. And with you as the Sayaraha, the Dalil Aziz, the legislator who establishes the laws, keeping in mind that the head of state can also be a matriarch. Perfect example, AMPAG. That's why AMPAG is dangerous as hell. Their whole 3 branches are matriarchs, screaming out at the top of their lungs, letting the world know what happened, reversing what was done back then and what I just explained. Also keep in mind, any of you Moors who've had the pleasure of observing or examining, at minimum, the covers to the 101, you'll see Prophet Noble Drew Ali carrying the matriarch with humanity written on her womb, signifying that humanity has fallen because the mother has fallen. And then he's stepping out of the cares of the world, which is water or a body of water, onto the rock of salvation. Are we familiar with that picture? Anyone? Are we familiar? Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, brother. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good, good, good. So we're familiar with that picture, right? That picture is Prophet Noble Jew Ali's demonstration, literal, direct demonstration of Article 15. He's stepping out of the cares of the world and the body of water, which is American jurisdiction, admiralty laws, onto Morocco of salvation. The rock of salvation, Morocco. Can't spell Morocco without rock, and you certainly can spell it without more. The first two words is more and rock. While he's carrying the mother. So he's signifying in that demonstration, Article 15, in which he is choosing between the entire submission to the laws of the Empire of Morocco. The Moabites are the true founder, are the founders and the true possessors of the Moroccan Empire. He's stepping onto the rock of salvation, carrying the mother. That's exactly what we're doing. We're stepping back onto the rock of salvation, carrying the mother as a legislator. We literally signed the Constitution to give the control of the laws to our matriarchs. The sons have already consented to that idea. That's why no one can give us any pushback about the matriarchal society or the matriarchal system, because our state governments embody that. It's literally discriminatory to men, because men cannot be part of the legislative branch. We can only operate out. Our only mode of operation is outside of the legislative branch. Only the matriarchs can be a part of the matriarchal council. But then she also can be any other part of the government, right? We acquiesce to that. Somebody mute your mics, please. Period. So we've chosen between entire submission to the laws of the empire, meaning that we have taken on, we decided to uphold the mandate, the ruling of Article 15 from the Treaty of Madrid. This is it right here. And so because of that, because of the power and that nationality clause of Article 15, paragraph 1 of the Treaty of Madrid, 1880, right? The king of the Kingdom of Morocco, in cahoots, in collusion with the United States International Organization, not the United States of America, because they're saying United States of America, but it's not the United States of America. This is 1959. The United States of America ceased to exist in 1871, right? In collusion with the United States International Organization, they tried to strike Article 15 from the Madrid Convention. Why you didn't strike Article 11? Oh, because it's giving you the right to expand and erect buildings, huh? Oh, okay, I see how we're doing. Right? You want to maintain your extraterritorial jurisdiction. You want to maintain your civil and criminal jurisdiction over us. Well, it ain't happening, Captain. It's against international law. It's against just coaches. A preemptory norm of international law of high degree. Our Moroccan nationality is paramount for the world, because only us, we can save the world. So he wasn't a sultan, so he couldn't strike it, and it violates human rights based on the charter, which they both are part of the charter. They're both members of the charter. So they couldn't do it. So we missed that bullet. But even if they did do it, even if they did get it struck from the record, we still can return back to Morocco. It's just that with it being on the record, now we can show and prove it being on the record, and we can stand on that, right? I think I made the point clear that Prophet Noble Jew Ali, you know, taught us that we were Moroccans. See, in 1929, when he was assassinated, the Moors, the same Moors, ransacked his office, removed much of his literature. I learned this from Moors. Then I went back and did some research, basic research, and it checked out. But I learned this from Moors, old Moors, right? In my journey in this Moorish movement, I've met like old Moors. When I say old Moors, I don't necessarily mean by age. I mean by time in the movement, 20 plus years before the internet even existed. And these people will usually be connected to other older Moors in terms of age that's been around since the 40s and the 30s and things of that nature. And these are the people, aside from YouTube Moors, because I've seen it on YouTube as well. Both sets of Moors they say the same thing. The prophet's office was ransacked, and much of the literature was removed. Okay. The first question is, what was removed? The second and probably most important question is, what was it replaced with? And I'll tell you what it was replaced with. Anything to bring you back into the American jurisdiction, at least mentally. Because Moorish Americans believe that they're American citizens. They believe that they are Americans. They stand firm on the Webster's Dictionary, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Okay, now that I said that, let's I'm gonna go here. This is an interesting document I came across in doing this research. Y'all should look it up, but I'm gonna touch on it sometime soon. Let me go back into Google. Let's type in 1828 Webster's Dictionary, and let's examine that definition real quick, shall we? 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Okay. This is a dictionary that the Moors love because of this definition. American. Somebody read that definition for me, please. As if you haven't already read it. That's fine. Let's read it again.
American. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. The name, are we starting at the bottom here? Because I'm looking at my phone.
I don't know what bottom you're referring to. It's right there. Oh, is it not?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my phone and it's kind of small right here. Okay.
You can literally expand your screen with your
yes, yes. I'm trying to do that. Okay, American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So in the very beginning, it tells you that it was applied to us. It doesn't say that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
A native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races. It was applied to us. What else was applied to us? There's a specific identity that was applied to us.
Negro, blacks, and color.
Thank you.
Indian
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you. It was applied to us. Now it's applied to the descendants of the American of the Europeans born in America. That whole definition is suspect. Very suspicious when you really look at it from the viewpoint of international law, or at least the understanding of international law. Very suspicious. A native of America, originally, as if America is an ancient land or something, originally applied to, which it is, but it's not called America, right? The name, the land has its own misnomer, as the people do. So they mislabeled the land America, and then they mislabeled the people Black, Negro, colors. So when Prophet Noble Ali allegedly, because I believe there's a 50% chance that that was one of the part of the literature that was replaced. So when he allegedly said that we are descendants of Moroccans born in America, first of all, it's a nonsensical statement, because if I'm a descendant of Moroccans, then I'm a Moroccan. A German shepherd is a German shepherd. He doesn't come to China and become a Chinese shepherd. He doesn't go to Brazil and become a Brazilian shepherd. Wherever he goes on planet Earth, he would still be a German shepherd. So wherever we go on planet Earth, wherever we're born on planet Earth, we will still be Moroccans. So that definition in and of itself is strange. Okay. The prophet also knew that this land is not Morocco. He said that he brought the flag. He said that the flag been flying over here over 10,000 years. That flag does that Moorish flag, that red flag with the 5-pointed green star, the cherry tree that George Washington chopped down, right? That represents Morocco. The Star Spangled Banner is what represents America. So clearly he knows that this is not America. He told you that this is the Moroccan Empire anyway. So what would he say that? Okay, if you use further discernment, assuming that he actually said this, then he was really saying that you was naturalized in America, in American jurisdiction, i.e. born in America. He means that you've been naturalized in America, in American jurisdiction, under American laws, under the civil and criminal jurisdiction of America. It was up to us to study to identify the difference. Moorish American is a Moorish subject. African American is a Moorish subject. Negroes, blacks, colored, Hebrews, Pan-Africans, Indians, Cherokee, whatever. All are Moorish subjects. Or Moroccan subjects and proteges, or proteges. The proteges are your Obamas, your Condoleezza Rice, your federal employees, those who work for the government. They're under protection of the government and they work for the government. Those are the proteges, a slightly higher degree than just a Moorish subject. J. Jermaine Bey was a Moorish protege. He worked for the government. You know, doesn't change that you're a subject. You're still a subject, but you know, you're also considered more of a higher degree, more of like a protege. So obviously, Obama is at a higher status than us. He was the president, right? He's a protege. Nonetheless, he's still a Moorish subject, right? So again, if you do nothing else but proclaim your nationality, simply is saying to you to recognize your Moorish identity and let the world know that you are a Moor. It doesn't. That's the extent of that. It doesn't mean that you go to a temple or an organization or a church and establish or change your status. A status change is based in taking an allegiance to your government, your Moroccan government, that recognizes your national identity, that recognizes your Bey, your El, your Ali, that recognizes your Fez and everything else. Through what? What document recognizes all that for you as an individual or a national within your state? Which document identifies all that? It's a state document.
Constitution.
The Constitution. The United States has 51 constitutions. They got 51 of them. We ain't got now one, or up to this point. So they have 50 states. Every last one of their states got a constitution, a flag, and a seal. And then the federal government itself has its own, has the banner. We know what the seal look like, right? We know what the flag look like. And we already know about their constitution. So whereas ours, this is the reason why under uti possidetis juris, we have to take over each territory at a time. So, okay, in Georgia, Georgia has a state flag. We got a state flag. Everything in like manner. We're putting the pieces on the board for chess. One side has pawns, my side got pawns. Your side has bishops, my side has bishops. Your side has a king and a queen, so do I. Okay, so the dependency state of Georgia has a flag. We got a flag. They got a seal. We got a seal. Oh, y'all got a constitution? Well, guess what? So do we. Now we can play chess. But who's the authority here, though? Who's coming off with the white pieces? That would be us. We are the landlords. You're the tenant. I'm letting you into this game. So you coming in with black. Right? We are white because we are the ultimate authority. So now a non-self-governing territory like, let's say, Arkansas, California, who's working on their constitution currently, now they can flex on the dependency state of California and let them know, well, I got a flag too, I got a seal too, I got a constitution too. But what's the difference between our Moroccan states and our constitution versus the chartered colonies constitution? Let's examine the knowledge on the floor. Can anyone answer what is the difference between the constitution of, for example, Texas versus the constitution of Dempsey? What's the difference in those two constitutions? Can someone answer that for me?
Islam. One's de facto and the other one is a de jure.
Okay, that's a good answer. That wasn't what I was looking for, though. But that was a good answer. Okay. Y'all remember this. The difference in the two is that your Moroccan constitution was ratified, deposited, and promulgated on an international venue, i.e. the United Nations. The dependency state of Texas, they didn't do that. They didn't ratify, deposit, and promulgate their constitution with the United Nations. However, they did do so with the United States federal government, federal corporation. That's the difference. So that means that Texas, the border, the uti possidetis juris of the dependency state of Texas is domestic under United States federal laws. Dempsey's constitution and state under their uti possidetis jurisdiction, which is the same as the dependency state of Texas, these are now international borders, not domestic borders, and they fall under international law and treaty protections. But the time will come when Dempsey's state will no longer be independent, sovereign, and sovereign and independent, or autonomous. Can someone answer that question? When will what is the time in which Texas.
States of Morocco.
There you go. Because the United States of Morocco now acts like the United States federal government, right? It has the authority over all of our states, and the United States of Morocco itself will be the international body. And its uti posidetis juris will compose of all of our uti posidetis juris that combine as one. So then now we see our borders will no longer be international borders. It will now become domestic borders. Domestic to what and under what authority though? Under what jurisdiction? Moroccan jurisdiction, under Moroccan law, because it's under the Moroccan Empire. Does that make sense?
Would you say that their constitution is a corporate charter?
Yeah.
So to speak.
It is. It is indeed so.
Meaning not really a constitution at all.
No, it's not. No, it's not really a constitution at all. I mean, it's really a chartered, like you said, it's a document that proves the existence of that chartered state. It's a charter. These are chartered colonies. But the United States of America's constitution is de jure. It was deposited with the Sultan of Morocco. The United States International Organization's constitution. So the original constitution is the constitution for the United States of America, and then the de facto constitution is the constitution of the United States of America, which is what they're operating under now. And it's still chartered through Great Britain, but they still fall under. They're still dependent upon Moroccan law. At this point, and clearly this is going to be a short one. It didn't even take a whole lot to clarify nationality. Most of this call is going to be based in discussion, questions, and answers. So the reference points, the visual aid, or really the reference points, we've already basically covered them. I mean, it's the name of this particular presentation is called "What is Nationality?" I mean, how much more do I need to look up and find to express this? I mean, it's right. It's simple. There's nothing to it, but it still needs to be discussed and addressed because it's one of the things in this Moorish movement that we have a misunderstanding about. We think that proclaiming it and declaring it make you that. No, not you are who you are by consanguinity, but you can't operate as a sovereign if you don't fall under the protections of your sovereign state. There is no individual sovereigns just running around. That's why they call them, sovereign citizens. Yeah, you're sovereign, but you're still a citizen. Yeah, we recognize that you're the sovereign people of the land, but you're still a citizen. You're more subject. You're subjugated to our criminal and civil and criminal jurisdiction. Sovereign citizen. And because of that, you can put them handcuffs on you and book you to jail. Or take you to jail and have the judge book you for whatever time he wants to book you with or whatever, right? Depending on the crime that was committed. So we got a lot of innocent brothers and sisters in jail as Moorish subjects, but the laws of the country shall apply to you without any restrictions if you don't choose between entire submission to the laws of the empire. And up until then, that ruling was not contemplated seriously. Well, it is now. To the point where we went as far as to establish the WRC, the Wazir Regional Council, and its judicial organ known as the Supreme Regional Council, Regional Supreme Court. So at this point, I want to open up the floor for any further discussions, comments, or questions. I yield. Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
So the states came before the United States. The states came and then they delegated the United States 19 of their authorities to formulate the United States, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Those were known as the 13 colonies.
Right.
You're in
So
the
the
state.
Constitution made them the constitutors in the contract, basically.
Basically, yeah. Indeed. However, who is the landlord? Moroccans. Why? Because they're in Morocco. If there's any delusions of that,
So how did they get trusteeship though, like over the estates?
acquiescence. Okay, Article 20. Okay, let me go to it. But I wanted to show this here. Case concerning rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco. Period. They're in Morocco. Now, let's see. Does answer your question? Did I?
Can I Islam,
Islam,
brother, can I elaborate on that question as you're looking for the reference?
I'm going to come with reference points to answer it, but you can go ahead and answer it, and I'm still going to come with the.
And
Yeah.
and can I ask a question real quick? So we can go to the case concerning right of nationals of the United States of America and Morocco. We could Google that and put in this document would come up.
Yes, that's all you got to do. Just Google it and it'll come right up.
All right, thank you.
Islam. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, to go into that question, you know, what they say about history and law goes together. So they talk about George Washington chopping down the cherry tree, right? So what was the actual act that George Washington did to chop down the cherry tree? As we know, that's metaphor.
Correct.
So the act that he did that extended the extrajudicial territories of the United States of America at that time was known as the Judicial Act of Congress, 1789, which was right after they ratified the Constitution. The first act that he did was exceed the Republic jurisdiction by that act to now institute what we know today as the federalized jurisdictions that are operated in each one of those 51 states that has a what you call it, a British charter. Yeah.
Islam. Now, when you say federalized, are you sure you're not confusing it with the Act of Congress of 1871?
Absolutely not, brother. If you go back then, that term federal, you know, jurisdiction wasn't just something that came about in 1871. It was a remake of something Georgie Boy was trying to claim more territory so he can satisfy the taxes that was owed to the Sultan at the time. Yeah.
No.
But the original federal jurisdiction was the people. The people was the original federal before this corporate federal shit came.
That's what I'm saying, where he extended now the courts in those federal jurisdictions. So that's why every jurisdiction now, you know, you have a federal court within that jurisdiction. So that's how the admiralty extraterritorial jurisdiction now became, you know, exported, and where they said Georgie Boy converted the states, the estates into states. So that's the act that he converted them into.
Islam, yeah, I'm familiar with that. And for the record, y'all, this is a professional forum. I cuss like a sailor, but we can't be cursing on this one. Islam. So to answer the brother's question, if an American citizen, wow, look how it start off. So, Moors, are you the American citizen? This is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right? So you claim to be an American citizen. Okay, have at it and have fun with that. Tell me how them laws apply to you and how it works for you. If an American citizen shall die in our country, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effect shall be deposited in the hands of some person, right? Person, corporation, state, and international law A state is a person worthy of trust. And notice how they uppercase person and uppercase trust. Until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will as soon as the consul shall declare the validity thereof. So these treaties are written in like manner. Well, who died? The Moors, right? We were buried in a shallow grave. We acquiesced, we fell asleep. And so therefore, by default, the United States got to take over our trust and administer our trust. That's the answer to your question, good brother. Article 22 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Now, to get it back, we got to make a competent claim. How do you make a competent claim? What does that look like? You see what I just highlighted? And it's in uppercase, a will. Somebody on here knows what a will is, other than obviously your lower degree definition of a will, which is something, a document that you draft to make sure that your assets get passed down to your heirs if you were to die, right? That's one definition of it. But what is the high degree, international degree definition to will? I know somebody can answer that. Huh?
Constitution.
There you go. With our Constitution, we can make a proper claim so that we can reclaim our vast estate and our trust. Simple as that. And the consul shall declare the validity of the court have declared the validity of our will. I yield for more questions and comments. Oh, I know y'all got questions and comments. I know y'all got something to say. I'm not going to accept these crickets. We're all here together. We're all in this together. We're having an open forum discussion. So
Islam.
you have to make a competent claim. Go ahead, sister.
So do a will have to be deposited at the UN?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
More specifically saying Constitution. Ratified though. It's got to be ratified, signed by your the competent officers of your state. You deposit it with the United Nations and promulgate it with whoever you see fit, but primarily at minimum, the United States president and the United States of America, as well as the governor of the trust territory that you are reclaiming. Our trust, like the brother was saying, our trust was broken up into states. All these states, state of Arizona, state of this, state of that, state of Colorado, state of Georgia. These are bits and pieces of our trust. That's why it's called the trust territory in international law. Okay, let's refresh our memories here. I'm still open for questions while I'm looking this up, while I'm pulling this up, United Nations Charter. Very important definition here.
So once they and that's predicated off of the president signing that act that was passed in 1956.
For them to relinquish the extraterritorial jurisdiction, yeah.
So that has to happen first, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to get them to relinquish the extraterritorial jurisdiction, because in doing so, they now what they're saying by relinquishing it, they're saying that they accept Moroccan law and that they submit to Moroccan law. They fall under the jurisdiction of Moroccan law. So it says, what's the title? United Nations Charter, Chapter 11, the Declaration regarding non-self-governing territories. So down here, so it goes and it says, members of the United Nations which have or assume responsibilities. So who are the members of the United Nations? The 193 member states. Who's one of them? The United States. Who is our contentious dispute with? The United States. So it says members of the United Nations which have or assume responsibilities for the administration of territories whose peoples have not yet attained a full measure of self-government. So they're administering our territories while we're asleep, according to Article 22 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Recognize the principle that the interest of the inhabitants of these territories are paramount, of the highest degree. Our interest is of the highest degree. And accept as a sacred trust the obligation to promote to the utmost within the system of international peace and security established by the present charter, the well-being of the inhabitants of these territories. That's to further answer the brother's question. And to answer, excuse me, another brother's question, dealing with why we got to take over all the states, why we can't just bring the nation. It should be just one nation. Why do we have all these states, all these different governments that you guys are establishing? This is why. For one, is uti possidetis is adhering to the principles of uti possidetis juris, customary norms of international law, but then also to reclaim all these bunch of little pieces of our trust, our estate has been broken up into a bunch of little states that they're administering on our behalf while we're asleep. They got drunk on power. Greed has kicked in and they don't want to let it go. They trying to hold on to this power, y'all. That's why they miseducate us so heavily and used our own to do so. And our own gladly did it for their little 501c3 benefits, their jets, their planes, their churches, their temples, their mosques, their organizations, their websites. We did it to ourselves. Our people were in collusion with the United States to bring about the thorough and speedy Americanization of these former Moors. So it's not limited to the Moorish American Society of Philadelphia. You can look at Al Sharpton. He has partaken in the speedy Americanization, speedy and thorough Americanization of our people. Who else? Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes,
Jesse
right?
Jackson.
With all due respect in advance, not to this person, but to those who follow him. Farrakhan, his nice little clean part, etc., etc., etc. Grand Sheiks, all the leader guys has conspired with the colonists to bring about a thorough and speedy Americanization of our people, y'all. Internalize that. It's a fact and it's a truth. We see it in Resolution 75. It's on the record as legislation in Philadelphia. I yield. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one too. Oh, go ahead, brother.
Okay, so say if you live in Georgia territory and you have you want to move yourself and your tribe to Montana territory, are we able to be covered by AMPAG and claim that territory?
Wait. Step back a little bit and ask the question again. I think I'm not sure I understand it at all to the point where you're at. Could you maybe rephrase it?
Okay, so like if you're in Georgia territory and you're looking to move to like Montana territory, and are you able to like be protected and covered through AMPAG and able to claim that territory?
You would have to not if Montana's a non-self-governing territory, no.
Okay.
Not you're practicing extraterritorial jurisdiction, right? Well, I mean, you can look at it from the perspective of the United States. If you were to leave Georgia, the state of Georgia, to move to Montana, Montana is going to require you to become a citizen of Montana. And how do you do that? You have to get a driver's license from Montana and relinquish your Georgia license. Same
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
This is why we want to fill up the map and turn our non-self-governing territories into self-governing territories. Take back or reclaim your territory, your trust, your piece of the pie, if you will. All these 50 states are pieces of our pie. Somebody else had a question. There was two people that raised their hands. You spoke. Who's the other?
Yeah, I had one. So the 6 or 7 territories that are actively coming online now, once the US signs off on those, even though it's 6 or 7, does it relinquish their seat at the UN, or would they still be in that same position even with the states that are coming online, or would the states that are coming online fill that position?
Excellent question. That's an excellent question. If that was to happen, let's say with only our 6 states, it's not 7, it's only 6. And I think that's going to be the case going forward until we get others like California, New York, and Arkansas online. The entity that would take its seat in the Security Council would be the United States of Morocco. It wouldn't be our several states. Those several states would then have to establish the United States of Morocco. And that's the most ideal circumstance to be in, to have the United States of Morocco, not the WRC. The WRC is a placeholder for the United States of Morocco, right? So what you're proposing as the WRC, for the WRC to sit at that seat, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that would be the best case scenario. The best case scenario would be the United States of Morocco. So that means then that we would have to enact the Constitution for the United States of Morocco. But by the time that happens, excuse me, if they relinquish extraterritorial jurisdiction through the International Court of Justice, that's going to be a public display, which means all the Moors and all those several non-self-governing trust territories will spring into action and start enacting constitutions all over the place. It's gonna get ugly for them if we were to go to the ICJ based on the press, the power of the press. But as far as them relinquishing jurisdiction, extraterritorial jurisdiction, they may not be required to relinquish extraterritorial jurisdiction in, let's say, Montana, because there's no constitution or 3 branches of government there to govern that territory, right? But they will indeed so relinquish the jurisdiction in each of the states that have been enacted, or each of the territories for the Moroccan states that have been established. Let's put it that way, right? And then from there forward, going forward, again, once Montana and all the other non-self-governing territories come into statehood and establish their governments with their 3 branches of government and their constitution, then the job would already been done. The relinquishment would be just that much easier. It's just a matter of now contacting the United States or the president and have him sign off for that particular territory. And we continue going and going and going until we fill up the map, right? Or until we establish the United States of Morocco. And ideally, we would establish the United States of Morocco based in all 50 states. But it may not necessarily be, that's not necessarily required. We can do it with 10, we can do it with 15. There's no specific number. I mean, the United States established the United States with 13 colonies. So we can most certainly do it with 10. We don't even have, we don't need 13. We can potentially do it with 6, 7. And these are the matters that we're discussing in the roundtable on Mondays. Although that hasn't come up, but I will bring that up as a topic of discussion for further clarity. However, what I've said and the way I've answered it is as accurate as it can be at this point. Islam?
Oh no, you've actually answered my question, Islam.
Islam.
Islam, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Question is, I guess on Mondays you guys talk about these type of topics. This topic is regarding the media, since it has such a big impression on our people. How are we as Moroccan states are going to deal with the media? Because they actually have a real stronghold on our on the minds of the people.
At what point or what phase in the fight are you referring to? There's different phases. Are we talking about after the relinquishment or prior to the relinquishment? Let's put it that way.
I would say that's a good question. I would say prior to, and then it's when because we don't know when they're going to relinquish. We don't really know when. So how do we deal with them prior to and then when they relinquish? That's a 2-part question.
Okay, it's from a prior or post perspective, before and after, anytime there's a concern. What article is this? Anytime there's a concern in dealing with them, you enact legislation. Let me go to that real quick to answer that question. Come on. I'm trying to do control.
Is this where it goes through a consular court?
Yeah. Well, the legislation comes from the matriarchs, but it is brought into law, signed into law by the wazir, or the head of state, and then the consular court enforces it. I lost my train of thought. What was I looking for?
Dealing with the media.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the article that I'm looking for. I haven't looked at it in a minute. I think it's 120. 120. Yeah, it might be 120. Let me see real quick. Oh, just passed it. Okay, right here. I think it is. Okay. With the view to harmonizing its legislation, if the occasion arises with the engagement contracted under the President General Act, each of the signatory powers engages to take the necessary steps leading to the enactment of such legislation in as may be necessary so far as it is concerned. So wherever there's any type of concern in regards to anything dealing with these colonists, you enact legislation to make it so. So you would write legislation to tell them to control their media and any other organ or subsidiary of the United States. Post or after decolonization, it's a done deal. It's like, they're under Moroccan law, period. So you still would enact legislation, but now you would have an easier time. Prior to forcing decolonization, coming back from the ICJ, for example, prior to that, they're going to put up resistance. They're going to ignore, which they already been doing, ignoring our consular court orders and things of that nature, which is it's documentary evidence to show and prove that they are maintaining extraterritorial jurisdiction. So cool, by all means, continue, because all this is being recorded and it will be presented at the ICJ as proof. See, it's not just our words, it's proof. We got proof, documented proof, that they are indeed maintaining extraterritorial jurisdiction, and they're utilizing their media to slander us and use propaganda against us. Keep in mind that as a Moorish subject, that's lawful and legal for them to slander you. It's whatever they want to do. There's no restrictions to what they can do with their laws. But now that we have enacted our states, now you're breaking the law. because we have adhered, we have adhered to paragraph one. We have adhered to that ruling to choose between the entire submission to the laws of the empire. Understood? So
Islam.
so afterward, yeah, it's just a matter of saying it, and it's so. Prior to that, it's a matter of still saying it, but it's not necessarily going to be so. And that's part of the battle right now, currently, as we speak. Islam.
Islam more. That's good.
Did that answer your question?
You did.
Okay, great. Give me some more. Who else got questions or even comments or any kind of a, position on anything? I know good brother Roz has some good information that he likes to share.
Okay, in regard to the question that the brother asked about him claiming his nationality through Georgia statehood and then moving to Montana, he would still be protected as a national of Georgia, correct?
Yeah, if he were to go, if he would move to Montana, yes.
Okay.
Wherever he goes on planet Earth, he will be under the protection of AMPAG. So look at Article 123 and that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Are you?
No. Go ahead, bro. You were gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna camel back on what you were stating about the legislation in the Constitution that the nation states, erect. That's where the jurisdiction of those, what they say, abode domiciles or those habitats come into play. But yes, absolutely. As far as the proper person, they're always protected under the state, no matter where they, travel.
Indeed. And we just covered that in what was the word? We looked at a couple of words. Look, nationality. Nationality and national say the same thing. I wanted to point out real quick, Article 123, since I had brought you to 120. And last, all treaties, conventions, and arrangements of the signatory powers with Morocco remain in force. All treaties, conventions, and arrangements of the signatory powers with Morocco remain in force, with us being the dominant party in the contract. As the landlords, as the sovereigns of the land. It is understood, however, that in case of conflict between their provisions and those of the present General Act, the stipulations of the latter shall prevail. So the General Act, the Act of Algeciras, the provisions in the Act of Algeciras shall prevail. Period. This is the holy grail document of decolonization when you study it and you understand it. But it also tells you in Article 123 that this, which is why it tells you in Article 123, actually, is what I'm trying to say, that this particular convention or this act or this treaty shall prevail over all the rest of them in case there's any sort of conflict between the provisions of the several different treaties or conventions or arrangements. I just wanted to point that out since I was already at Article 120. We need to understand that. Because the United States can't come talking about anything other than what the Act of Algeciras is saying. Because if they're trying to stand there square on some loophole they found in another treaty, sorry, y'all, but Article 123 stands. And the judges already know that from the International Court of Justice. I yield for more questions while I pull up something else.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In regards to, I believe it's the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the provisions in there about what it takes to dissolve the treaty. One party have to let the other party know.
Mm-hmm.
Have that been considered at all, or have that ever been attempted to actually formally dissolve the treaty with them, since they ain't honored it no way?
That has not been attempted, no. However, it has been discussed, yes, that's for sure. And what is the basis of the discussion? Which, by the way, excellent question. Well, let's talk vantage point, right? Your current position, your current status, or our current position in this movement, or even prior to the statehood movement. More specifically, prior to the statehood movement. What's the dollar number in terms of consumerism that Black people are responsible for? Can anyone tell me?
Restate the question.
Okay, what dollar amount or estimated dollar amount are Black people responsible for as consumers?
3 trillion a year.
Okay, that's their value to us. So our current vantage point is us being the asset for the United States, which is an incorrect viewpoint. It's a viewpoint based in our places being traded. We've traded places. We're supposed to be the sovereigns governing the vast empire, the great enterprise, and they are supposed to be bringing in trillions of dollars as consumers to our empire. So to answer your question, no, we don't want to abandon the treaty. We want to set it straight. We need them as the worker bees and the taxpayers bringing in trillions of dollars as consumers to our state. Not us doing that, them doing that. And the Treaty of Peace and Friendship affords that for us. So why do we want to abandon it?
I was seeing as though they done messed the currency system up, took us off the gold standard, and everything is just an illusion now. So they only moving on the faith of the people, basically. Nothing is of any value but the faith of the people. So with that being said, if we was to desert or abandon the treaty, or we would put them back at the negotiation table, because they only here with plenipotentiary powers. So if the treaty was
more correctly, they're here on a privileged status. But go ahead, continue.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. If the treaty that's allowing them to be here was vacated, then they gonna have to renegotiate.
Mm-hmm. They have to renegotiate regardless, because they have to. What I just said, they are the consumers and our great asset. So the negotiation will be based on them continuing that on. If you don't want to do that, then you got to abandon the treaty. Then you got to leave. We ain't going to abandon the treaty. You got to leave, because you're violating the treaties by not being the tenants. They are the tenants. They're supposed to be paying rent. The rent is the same consumer dollar value that I just asked y'all about, from the perspective of us being subjugated, right? So to further answer that question or that statement, I hope I just made sense. And if not, I can always rephrase it. Article 1. Okay. So it says here, right? This was supposed to be our responsibility. This is the treaty of, let me go up. Protectorate's treaty between France and Morocco, signed at Fez on March 30th, 1912. So Article 1 states, so backstory real quick in case we don't know. The Sultan commissioned the French Republic to oversee the empire on behalf of the Sultan. That's what I was talking about earlier, why they claimed their independence. There was claiming to become the Kingdom of Morocco. They were claiming their independence from this treaty. That's why the treaty is now dissolved. But the principles were carried on into the Charter of the United Nations, the League of Nations, then the treaty, then the Charter of the United Nations. So it says the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan have agreed to establish in Morocco a new regime. Oh, I didn't finish my point. Hold up. So this is what we were supposed to do based on the Act of Algeciras, 1906. This is now 1912. We didn't do what we were supposed to do, what we were mandated to do based on the Act of Algeciras. So the Sultan had to commission somebody else to come in and do it on our behalf, i.e. the French Protectorate, which is why Article 6, and I'll go back to Article 1, which is why Article 6 says the diplomatic and consular agents of France shall be charged with the representation and protection of Moroccan subjects and interests abroad. Because we were acquiescing, just snoozing. The Act of Algeciras came out in 1906, and I'm gonna go to the preamble to show and prove my point. But let me go back to Article 1. So this is what we were supposed to do, and I'm here answering your question. Be patient with me. Where am I? Okay, here we are. The government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan have agreed to establish in Morocco a new regime comprising the administrative, judicial, educational, economic, financial, and military reforms. We're supposed to institute reforms of all these organs and agencies within the empire. We got to reform everything because, like you said, they have corrupted everything, right? So we have to reform it all. That's part of the negotiation. That's part of the process. That's part of decolonization. So now let's go back to the preamble to the Act of Algeciras to make that point clear. So here in the Act of Algeciras, which is our decolonization document, where is it? Too far down. Too far down. Where is it? Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me get to this. Okay, here we are. Inspired by the interest attaching itself to the reign of order, peace, and prosperity in Morocco. So in order to reign in the order and establish peace and prosperity in Morocco, the Moors got to come in and handle business. And recognizing that the attainment thereof can only be effected by means of the introduction of reforms based on the triple principle of the sovereignty and independence of His Majesty the Sultan, the integrity of his domains, and economic liberty without any inequality. So when you're talking about economic liberty without any inequality, that's the answer to your question. Everything dealing with the money, everything dealing with the finance. Okay, so these are the reforms down here. These are the specific reforms. Chapter 1, a declaration relative to the organization of the police. Chapter 2, a regulation concerning the detection and repression of the contraband of arms. Chapter 3, an act of concession for a Moroccan state bank. We're taking over the financial system. Economic and financial. One of the 6 principles in the Treaty of Fez that I just went over. 4, a declaration concerning a better return of taxes and the creation of new revenues. They are the consumers. They are the ones who work and pay their taxes and buy stuff and pay taxes when they do so. Again, economic and financial reforms. 5, a regulation concerning the customs of the empire and the repression of fraud and smuggling. That's dealing with our ports. And finally, 6, a declaration relative to public services and public works. That is the education, that's the administration, education. No, let's say it in the proper order. Education, judicial, education, economic, financial, and military reforms. You see how number one says the organization of the police? That's the military reforms. Repression of contraband of arms. That's the administration. Act of a concession of a Moroccan state bank. That's and the return of taxes and the the creation of new revenue. That's the economic and financial reforms. So we failed to institute these reforms. So France came in to do it for us in 1912 through the Treaty of Fez. And they were summoned by the Sultan to do so. So this is what's answering your question right here. Yes, they're corrupt. We know this. But this system is not theirs. It's our system. What they did was come in, took over our system when we fell asleep, and they have corrupted it. So now we have to come back in and institute reforms to fix it. I hope I answered the question. Islam,
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, you did, because I'm with you 100%. But I think where my concern comes in is a step beyond that, because everything changed in 1933 when they stole the gold, took us off the Bretton Woods Agreement. Everything been monopoly money since then. So it's hard for us to sue or make allodial claims or even tax them in the fiat system. How we gonna tax them for fiat? That's what I'm trying to, like, we got to get back to the de jure before we can even tax. We can't tax them for fiat.
Okay, are they taxing us for fiat?
Yeah, but it's monopoly money. We can't tax back for monopoly money.
Hold on. I know you can't say that it's monopoly money, because if I give you $10,000 right now, you can go buy a car. Monopoly money, you can't buy a car. Right? So
that's not true though. I mean, if you when you really understand the way the financial system works, if you give me $10,000, I'm not buying a car. I can't buy nothing with that $10,000. I can only discharge. I can only discharge and acquire. I really think I can't buy nothing in the fiat system.
I'm totally clear about the 1933, the bank, the what do they call it, bank holiday and all that. I understand all that, but I can tell you this:
if you give me 10,000 IOUs and I buy something with it, I'm not the owner. Your IOUs is what's, you know what I'm saying, is what's still leaving me.
Because if I go to, hold on. If I take $100 and I buy groceries and I brought it home and I ate it, that became mine. What are you talking about? I understand.
Well, see, now listen though. Okay, listen.
Hold up, let me finish. I totally get what it is that you're saying. So if I were to go and buy gasoline with a gold bullion, I have to go to the bank and exchange it for the same quote unquote fiat to come back and buy the gas. So even in today's system, you cannot use gold and silver. In fact, in order for me to buy gold and silver, I still got to use the same quote unquote fiat, only to turn right back around and convert it so that I can actually use it. So again, I'm finishing my point. So again, the point here is to institute reforms, and it's called, as it relates to the Article 3 or Chapter 3 of this particular treaty, it does indeed state that gold, bullion, and silver should back the money, right? Okay, so then what are we talking about? Let's take back the system, get back our gold, and reinstitute the reforms for the financial and the economic system. What's the kick? What's the pushback?
Can I just interject?
Okay.
Hold on. Let the brother finish.
It still represents energy, brother. It's still energy. That fiat still represents energy.
I realize all that. My point is you have to understand fully, because I'm with you with what you're saying, but you have to understand deeper how that purchase just happened. When you went to the grocery store and bought them $100 worth of groceries, you didn't really buy nothing. You exchanged the debt instrument and deposited a credit with that store. You didn't buy nothing. I'm telling you the difference from the illusion and what's actually happening. Your $100 debt note didn't purchase anything. You made a deposit with that store that you're supposed to claim back with that receipt on the tax credit. So everything was an illusion from the get-go. We're not purchasing anything. You don't have no purchasing power.
Islam, brother. And just to, affirm what he's stating, it's the securitization. I just want to state two points, according to what you're stating, brother. And he's absolutely right. Nothing was ever, exchanged or needed, because that's exactly what it was converted into, a credit on their debt that they took out the obligation based upon their, contract with the United States, because that's all they have to issue is just a debt obligation. So he's absolutely correct. But brother, I want to tell you this also. This is where you understand international law and what's going on that market. Yes, domestically, the United States at North America, operating at North America, has suspended and abrogated the gold clause. Yes, we know that there's notes that are circulating in every, so-called nation state on this planet. But the question is, you have to ask, within their legislation, did they suspend the gold clause? And you will look and find that most of them did not. They was just going off of the contract and the illusion of the IMF and the World Bank, off of that printing. So what you notice that the BRICS nations, started out doing was doing what? Any contracts that was to be satisfied or going forward would have to be satisfied by gold, silver, or what they say, commodities, hard assets. So, the cripple, to bring down what they say the United States, and this is what they've been fearing from day one, is that gold standard, because it's going to expose everything that they've been doing, going back to the, Constitution ratification. It's going to go back to those debts. And if you look within the Constitution, it even talks about debts that was incurred under the Articles of Association, when exactly what you was talking about, when they was in their compact states, that they still owed the debt to the Aboriginal people, pursuant to the
So these debts basically supersede Federal Reserve notes. See, that's my only point, that we just have to be conscious of how we gonna make claims and what we talking about, because we can't make claims
not on fiat. It has to be the gold standard, and what that does because we're doing it pursuant to what, all nations on earth. If you check the international records, one second, I'm about to close out. This is the reason, if you look at the US debt clock, why they had to remove the actual physical oil of reflection, the actual physical gold, and the actual physical silver on their US debt clock. Why was that? And if you click on there, they have a hashtag and stating about, the so-called asset is, in minimals, meaning they don't have the asset to back it on the paper side, meaning the papers that people are investing for futures contract. So that whole system is actually dead. It's imploded. So gold is the new standard. 95% of the nations on the earth right now, as we're speaking, real time, has already converted and is doing business with the gold standard.
Question real quick with that gold standard stuff, but and before I ask that question, I want to say I just put $30 of gas. I went to some $30 fiat, quote unquote, and now I got that. If that's illusion, if I'm looking at my gauge and I don't see half a tank, or I'm looking at a half a tank, but I actually don't have it in there, something is wrong with me. But here's what I want to say. What is the balance to the gold standard? Where is the gold? How is the gold balanced evenly across planet Earth in order to make this a correct and fair market? Montezuma had all the gold once upon a time. And because he had all the gold once upon a time, wherever he went, he caused all types of inflation and depression in every economy that he went to because nobody else had gold like that. So if we find out, let's say, for example, through this process that South Africa got all the gold, then what happens to China? It's not a level playing field. So for them to institute gold and for it to be properly administrated through the backing of the currency, in order for it to be balanced across planet Earth for everyone, then gold would have to be found everywhere on planet Earth, balanced across planet Earth evenly, as opposed to it just being just there's only a depository of gold in China, or there's only a depository of gold over here or over there. Do we understand what I'm saying?
We do, but also remember the gold is actually a metaphor for the people's money. It's not, it's the standard of the people's money, meaning sovereign to the people of the land. It's not the actual physical. It's the people, and it goes back to the habitat and the numbers. So those standards and those, what they say are the treasures. Without their energy, which is what the fiat system is utilizing right now, real time, is our energy. So that's the goal. We got to get out of our mind and stop looking at the unmined resource or the physical of it. You got to understand that innate, the gold is you.
The gold is within the,
but I think
within the heart of for each man and woman. So the goal is within, not without.
But I think that Brother Abdul more specifically is talking about functionality as we transition.
I get
so,
you.
So I think that's also important to realize that even if you physically have, let's say, like he said, $10,000 worth of gold coins, you still got to go somewhere to exchange that for fiat to be able to function within the system until we take it back, as we are in progress doing now.
All right.
So in the interim, I think that's what he was more so saying. But what you're saying also too is correct in reference to where we need to be.
Right. And remember, if you keep putting faith into something that is inflated, remember that note is inflation. So tomorrow they can wake up and say gas is $10 a gallon. Who has the control to say no? And guess what? They cannot mine the gas or pump the gas out of the ground or mine it. They only can operate off of a reserve system. Please mute your mic. Please mute your mic.
Mics, please.
Right. This is why their system is called the Federal Reserve, meaning they only can operate off of the reserve and pay the interest on it, not the principal. It's a reserve system, meaning everything above ground.
Well, what that tells me as collective people, right, as Moroccans, we just have to act more quickly, because what you're saying is correct. But we got to start, we got to keep pushing this ball, right, and get everything flowing, because you're right. They could wake up tomorrow and say it's $10. We're gonna have to pay that, or we can't go where we got to go. But we also have the power to pen with this information, and we just got to imply it.
Exactly.
No, because listen, that's what I'm saying though. We gotta stay focused on what's real and what's monopoly, because everything is tax credits. As a Lodio national, we should just be acquiring the bill and forwarding it to the obligator, which is the United States. Like they supposed to be footing all the bills. So meaning that when you went and purchased that $30 worth of gas, it went in your tank, but your dollar didn't do nothing. You have a $30 tax credit that you invest.
But I think that what that falls under is doing what you got to do in the interim.
We need to
one second.
Hold up, everybody. Hold up, everybody.
Man, I just got cut off.
Please, y'all. You're interfering with the brother trying to speak and express his point. Please mute your mics. Brother Ray, go ahead, continue, brother.
Oh, so you're gonna leave from work?
Yeah, brother. Yo, can you assign somebody else as a second party so they can monitor that, brother?
Yeah, I gotta do that. I'm sorry. I've been slipping on that. And someone sent me a text in regards to that, and I haven't done it. I'm so busy with
me that sent the text.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned it calls ago.
Yeah, you have mentioned it calls ago. Yes, a lot of brothers and sisters, man, I'm caught up with the state as well. So I'm gonna get to that. I will get to that. But I wanted the brother Ray to go ahead and finish his point, and then let everybody else finish their point as it relates to the financial aspect, remembering that we're dealing with economic and financial reforms. So everything that everyone has concern about, this is the purpose in establishing our states with the Act of Algeciras to come in and institute the reforms to fix it as we see fit. But it has to be based in the proper functionality, not just based in anything else really other than that. Continue, Brother Ray L, or whoever else wanted to finish their point as it relates to this point.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying is that everything comes down to a discharge. Even if you spend the fee out up front and you think you actually purchased something, it's still only a tax credit that was invested that's supposed to be claimed back. So with that being said, we have to keep that in mind when we making claims. Like either it's going to be a lodio or something in gold or with substance, or it's going to be some type of discharge, because they fiat is not functional.
No, it's the genocidal system that is causing hardship on the world. You know, it's the very entity or the very thing that is causing the hardship because there's no oversee or there's no control of it.
Like for example, we should have black cards or something in a debt-based currency system. We being a Lodio nationals, we should have black cards.
Well, it's actually exists, but like you said, you got to understand how to make the claim, the proper claim. You know,
And
it's a bunch of what they say, red tape. You know, many brothers and sisters that have done it, they've, you know, figured it out. You know, they've deported them. You know, so these are the actions that they do when you know, kind of understand how to discharge their sisters. But what it's going to come back to is that claim has to be made with the ICJ. It's the genocide that every depository or every international court is waiting for. It's not, it has not been done as far as the genocide acts. The US cannot claim it. Every black so-called, you know, NBC that has went to the UN, they've rejected them and turned them back and told them you're lacking status.
Yeah.
All the way up until Trayvon Martin's parents went to the UN to try to get redress, and they rejected them back down because of what? Status. And it goes back to what? Those so-called legalese that are playing the game and not even letting them know that's what the issue is. So yes, when we come collectively in our states and make that claim, you know, and honestly, once the state is erected, the claim should actually be made.
Yeah, and I think that's the importance of just, you know, like you said, enacting these states, getting them online, pushing that pen.
That's the first claim.
Yeah, because I get everything, because I understand the aspects of what everybody else is talking about in terms of like operating within the system, like in terms of doing what you got to do, you know, quote unquote. But, you know, outside of that, if we push these pens, if we create these states, we will alleviate the necessity to do that in the interim, because that really shouldn't be the focus, because we trying to alleviate the oppression that we're facing as a people, right? So now we step outside their jurisdiction by what? Checking the boxes. So we focus on really doing that and not so much of playing the game, then we'll be better off collectively as a people, because it's, you know, they already fallen, but it's just a matter of time.
But you got to make the proper claim. The claim is genocide all across the board.
That's correct, and that's the charges that we're utilizing to the at the ICJ. Now, also, let me make this other point, and that point was actually brought up by Brother J. Bay in our Monday class when this particular subject matter came up. We got to understand that in the banking system, in the financial world, we have a lot of brothers and sisters that work there in high positions as subject matter experts that are very well versed in the banking system, in the financial system. And when we take over and we get back from the ICJ, you can best believe that those people, recognizing the structure that we've established through our 3 branches of government and the success that we have gained through the ICJ, they more than likely will choose to come back home to Morocco. And in doing so, we can put them in these positions as the banking of officers, if you will, to assist us in instituting these economic and financial reforms in the proper way, with the proper competency, based on the proper education, to ensure the functionality of our economic liberty without any inequality. So everything that you guys are saying are problems. What is the solution? The solution is instituting the economic and financial reforms. And we're going through various stages of advancement in different phases as we continue checking these boxes to reach full decolonization, and therefore the control of the economic system. Our people will come home and they will assist us with these reforms so that to ensure the competency of it, and not just the competency of it, but also the functionality of it, because we got to be careful. Like y'all said, it's based in our energy and our us as the sovereigns. So that means then that if that's the case, and we are the ultimate authority in Morocco, if we slip up on these reforms, we can shut down the whole world. We got to make sure we do things the right way. The United States is the 61% of the countries, right, utilize the dollar. The dollar is the power currency, whether it's fiat or not, on the planet, and is operating from the North Gate, our seat of power. So if we aren't careful, man, we can bring a lot of problems to the world, financial problems to the world. We may cause a world depression if we're not careful in what we do. So these points are duly noted, and they also have been examined. But again, we need the subject matter experts from these varying different banking institutions and fields to come in to assist with these economic and financial reforms. But the bottom line is that is part of the process to force decolonization, is to institute economic and financial reforms. Islam, now I yield the floor for to switch the subject, because I don't want to keep going in circles. We're going to keep saying the same thing, and we're all in agreement here. I understand what took place in 1933. We all do. We all know about discharging the debt, accepted for value, and all these. They're very similar to UCC processes. I've studied those processes. I used to try to discharge debt and all that stuff, right? But again, that's still based in the old paradigm. We're talking about statehood and taking back control of the entire empire, and then also to institute the reforms and the financial reforms, the educational and financial reforms to bring back the de jure aspect of our government operations to include the economic aspect of our government operations. So all these things are part of the plan. And so I think that what we need to focus on is the plan and the solution. And as I spoke to the good brother Ray L earlier, this is the reason why we need roundtables, because we got to bring all of our ideas to the roundtable so we can discuss them to identify the proper action to take in regards to the institution of these several reforms. But yet and still, we still need subject matter experts that are properly educated, that work in these sectors, that know the backdoor secrets to come in and assist us with these various reforms. Because, by the way, we need educational subject matter experts. We need administrative subject matter experts. We need military subject matter experts, right? And we need judicial subject matter experts. So right? These are all the reforms. These are the 6 points of the reforms from the Treaty of Fez, based on the Act of Algeciras. And we can't do it all by ourselves. We need our NBCs that are working in the back offices of these institutions. And they will come home, just like Dorothy did, just like we are doing. They're coming home. But the difference here, and this is the power in the people that's on the line and those who've established their states, when they come as SMEs, they will be under our direction. We will be leading the charge and letting them know what it is that we need them to do. Islam, we're legendary right now as we speak. Go ahead.
Islam, brother, before we close out that last topic, and just to, speak about what you just talked about, talking about new paradigm. And based off of the LeGrand case, with the state of Arizona, where that case was taken to the ICJ, right? Based upon, even though the crime was committed within the municipal state, but the act of the state acting, genocide, on the LeGrand brothers, based upon their jury trial on the outcome of the state's case. But however, they won that based upon, actual, what they say, and this was interesting about those cases because those wasn't, as far as government bodies of German nationals, but they had German nationality. So they were protected or had the right to counsel by, their German councils. So within that,
because they were nationals, back to the paint, continue.
Right. So they were nationals, but how they, prevailed was because of what the genocidal act and, what the state of Arizona did. But the case was brought. But I'm just saying that was done without them being nationals, but they were not, in the government of the national body. So that's why I stated for the fact that once the states are erected, I think the first claim should be that genocide, just like, with the LeGrand brothers, because, that's what it's been ultimately across the board. And, they're waiting for those claims to be made.
Islam, and that is the main charge. That's the lowest hanging fruit, is genocide and crimes against humanity and maintaining extraterritoriality. All three of those all at once.
Islam, brother, a quick piggyback on statement you made just now.
We don't piggyback around here, Nasik. We camelback, brother.
Camelback. My apologies. Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm just expounding what you have said with a bit of more clarity when I say that when you make mention of subject matter jurisdiction, I think it's imperative to take into consideration that the European system have a subject matter different from that of the Moroccan system. So we have to be able to dissect the difference in between to make sure that the subject matter is in harmony with the Islamic principles and ways in which we do things, but not to bring European subject matter principles and ways into our ways, Islam.
Agreed. To the fullest extent. And that's and so see, these are excellent points. These are excellent concerns. Again, that's what Brother Ray L brought up. That's a concern. Okay, so what is the next move? Enact legislation dealing with that concern, right? We got to enact legislation, but again, we still have to be careful when it comes onto the financial system, because we can shut the lights out on the world if we're not careful, right? And also, if it's also backed by the energy of the people, well, don't these people got energy? But again, to get off that subject and move on to another subject matter before we have to just number one, that the Act of Algeciras, and as it's embodied in the Charter of the United Nations, deals with us instituting reforms to clean up the corruption and the mess that these people brought about into our system when we fell asleep and they took over. We have to change it all around. We have to reform. Meaning going back to Nasik's point, it means going back to the original ways of our ancestors. We have to reform it because they have corrupted it. Islam? Anyone else got any other comments or questions in regards to really anything else other than the whole financial system?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say one last thought. We have to know that by them trying to transfer everything over to a digital currency system now, that we, like you said, us, our energy being the money is definitely so, because our source data is the new gold now. Basically, that's the new standard. They taking our information and making money off of it.
They tell you that. They tell you it's backed by the faith of the people. What people? The Moors. They tell you that. You call that if you call the Federal Reserve right now and you ask them what's backing the currency, the faith of the people. So you're absolutely correct. See, when they took out the gold and the silver, they had to leave an opening for the to contract debt, right? And this is where what is that loophole? Discharging the debt. But we're not. That's the thing. We're not interested in their system and their loopholes. Well, we're interested in taking back control of the empire and instituting these reforms to our liking and to based in the principles of our ancient ways of doing things. Islam. And your point, Brother Rael, is that they're duly noted. Anyone else? All right.
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
So camelbacking off what the brother was saying earlier, instead of him relocating from Georgia to Montana, if he relocated to like to Dempsey or Texas territory, would he need to get a Dempsey state ID as well, or would he be fine with his AMPAG state ID while he's in domiciling in Dempsey?
I don't know what that would look like. That would be something that us as a round table of states, i.e. the Wazir Regional Council, that's something that we would have to talk about and put together.
Wouldn't that be up to him?
The way real quick, let me finish. The way the United States do it, well, you have to relinquish one ID for the other. Does that mean that we have to do that? No. You know, why don't you keep your AMPAG ID and take on your new DMT ID? Right? Now you got double protections internationally. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but if I were to simply use common sense and to go away from the way these people do things, I would say you keep your AMPAG ID and you take on your new DMT ID. If that answers your question.
All right. I gotta say, we gotta keep in mind that Trading with the Enemies Act now, because they listed us as enemies in order to license and control and regulate our movements in the first place. As free nationals, we don't have to follow everything in a paradigm.
Well, that's what I just said. Exactly. We don't have to follow anything. When you talk about the enemy, what is it called again? You just said it. The Trading with the Enemy Act. That's for more subjects. Ain't worried about that.
In relation to the matter at hand, I would propose that number one, fundamentally freedom of choice. If the Moroccan national wishes to keep his or her allegiance with the state of his or her choosing, but domicile within another provisional state, then that's where state diplomacy would come in the picture. So in the event something he or she should encounter some disturbance within that region, then he could get in touch with his or her official statehood of recognition, and that state would be then with the other state. So the diplomacy would still be between statehood, just as in like manner, if a US subject should go in another territory overseas and something happened, what would they do? They would go to the closest consulate, and then there would be a consulate dialogue. So that could be a proposition when having that Wazir regional dialogue take place. And then from there on, once the establishment of the United Moroccan is instituted, then amendments could be done.
Sir, Exactly. So, I mean, no arguments here. But that's it.
So every state will have like their own.
Hold on. Let
Oh,
me
sorry.
no argument here, brother. Nasir.
For New York to establish a state, what do I have to do to be participant and do, to make it happen? And I mean, they're talking about specific,
Can y'all hear me?
We hear
Yeah,
you.
there's something going on.
Yeah.
So hold on, why you guys over talking me? Hold on 1 second. I wanted to tell Brother Nasik something. Everything that you said, duly noted, absolutely correct. You're echoing what I just said. So here's what I would say to you, Brother Nasik, Brother Ross, and the rest of your body politic. We're waiting on you so you can bring this to the table. We're waiting on your constitution so you can bring this to the table, because what you just said is I mean, exactly what I was just saying. It's up to us. Well, however it is that we want to do it, we just got to sit down because when you come into the movement as a sovereign state, your wazir becomes part of the regional council, and so he brings those ideas to the regional council, wazir regional council, and we deliberate on these things and we move accordingly. We do as we see fit. We have the right to self-determination. It's our land. We do as we see fit. We don't have to do as they do.
Right.
We don't even propose to do as they do, other than mirror image what they're doing. But it doesn't mean that and when I say mirror image what they're doing, I'm talking about on an international level.
Right.
Even domestic. We can look at what they've done domestically and say, okay, these are guides for how we should operate our government. Okay, we don't like the way they're doing that, but I see what they're doing there. Okay, let's do something similar, but to our liking, type of thing. Because the Europeans were left here to teach us how to run government. So we got to watch what they're doing, learn from what they're doing to institute it in our movement. Okay, I yield that. Whoever had something to say, go ahead.
All right, question.
Let me just add to that too. And keep in mind, even though the question is general, one moving, but if you're going to use the word domicile, meaning if that state now has a depository in the UN, under UN protections as far as the state and everything there, and you're domiciling, meaning you're either acquiring land or etc., then of course you want to have relations or some type of relation with that state, because the state under its legislation, longitude, latitude, is the, what they say, the primogenitor caretaker of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So until, like we said, we come to a full, United States, Morocco centralized government, then we could all declare, hey, all borders are now borderless, then, that interchange. But keep in mind that if we're dealing with the charter of the United Nations and the deposits and those enactments of those habitats, because that's what you're claiming, those habitats for decolonization. Now you're saying you're the steward, of those habitats. So of course, one traveling, even nation state, of course you want to correspond, and then, like you said, discuss amongst ourselves how we'll deal with the identification issue. But then keep in mind, if the depository of the habitat is recorded in the UN, then you want that protection with your, abode, your domicile, anything you build upon, businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Keep that in mind. Yeah.
Islam. Go ahead, brother.
All right, so let's say that you create a religious organization, and you have you place everything up on there. You have your tribe and everything, and then you want to move from one territory to another territory, maybe West Coast. Let's say you create that to do that. Now that you go up under AMPAG, would you have to dissolve everything that you start off with before? And because also let's say that that individual has a traveler's card and a national identification, which is the highest form of identification. You have to get rid of that too, and just go with the AMPAG state ID, and dissolve everything else and go up under strictly go up under the AMPAG? If you understand my question.
I'm gonna try to make sense of it. So you're saying that you were a Moorish subject.
Yes.
Nationality ID, which is not the highest form of ID on planet Earth. Don't believe the hype. That's not true. The highest form of an identification is the identification that was issued to you by your state, not anything other, especially not nothing that came from a website or anything like that, or any weird Moorish American Negro process that they love selling out here. Okay, don't get me started with that. Sick of that. So what do you mean by you established an religious organization and then you want to move from California to AMPAG? What do you mean by religious organization? Like a temple, for example?
A religious organization that is filed up under a 508 instead of 501. So it's totally tax exempt and everything. And yeah, just instead of dealing with the 501c3 thing, you're dealing with a 508. Just
Okay, well,
to be all the way around.
I'll answer like this. If you're a Moorish subject and you're trying to take up allegiance in a Moroccan state government, that Moroccan state government will have their own national trust established. Okay. Mm-hmm. So whatever property that you owned as a Moorish subject can be transferred into the national trust of the state under the protection of the state. Keeping in mind that your nationality card, you can go ahead and light a bonfire and use that as paper. Just burn it. It ain't gonna do nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing for you to be standing your square on. It's really not, because it's not. We just went over nationality. We just went over nation. We just went over what a national is, and that's someone who's protected under their state, which means that that state has issued them the ID. If a state did not issue you the ID, then you're not under the protection. I got my nationality card from RV Bay Publications. Based on that nationality card and the processes that I undertook at under that through RV Bay, I got jammed up. When I was in the courts, I'm looking around, I don't see any fezzes, and I certainly didn't see any RV Bay fezzes. But if I get jammed up as a national, guess what? I'm gonna look around in the courtroom, and guess what I'm gonna see? At least my consul general, who's there with the flag, the seal, and the constitution of the state, letting the prosecutor and the judge know that this brother right here or this sister right here is under our jurisdiction based on our constitution. Bam, here's the documentary for the evidence. The documentary evidence for the record, I should say. Okay, he's under our jurisdiction. You have no jurisdiction over him, not subject matter, not no other form of jurisdiction. And by the way, all matters dealing between the United States and any one of our several Moroccan states get settled in consular court. So this matter shall be reconvened in consular court.
So, question: like, how would they know exactly? So you know how Georgia territory, they have like one side have like Creek tribe, other side may have Andalusia or Cherokee. How would they know exactly what tribe you coming from? Up under the state.
Educational reforms.
Okay.
We don't know. This is part of our problem. We lost our identity. Our identity was stolen from us or taken away from us as it relates to any book or artifact or forms of information to help us identify our bloodline, right? So these things are hidden in various places. We're not even sure where. The Pentagon, the Vatican. So when we take back control of the empire, that must be uncovered. All secrets must be unveiled, which means now we can petition and demand for our any and all artifacts, documentation, scrolls, etc., that we can sift through, study, read to identify who's who and who's not. So if you need, so through that process, which would be an educational reform, you would be able to identify based on that your bloodline as to whether you're Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, whatever. It goes back. I mean, that's not even the limit, bro. You know what I mean? Like some of us may have, you know, French blood, and I mean, ain't no telling. We go where man, time never was when man was not. We got a ancient history. It's since time immemorial. There's a lot to uncover. So it ain't even just limited to your tribal affiliation here in Morocco, so-called tribal affiliation. All those things must be uncovered. All secrets must be unveiled. That includes what do you call them? Classified information from the FBI and the CIA and all that. All that must be uncovered. UFOs and agents. But we're going after the agents first. I don't care about UFOs. I want to know who the agents are. I'm itching. My pen is ready. My pen is that scimitar. So it's going to be a lot of dirty Moors who's going to be getting beheaded with that pen based on what we find as evidence through these classified documents held by the FBI. You will be exposed. Trust and believe. Make no distinction. I hope I answered your question, brother.
Islam.
And get away from the idea or the thought that the nationality ID is a superior ID. It's not. It's nothing. Oh,
in Islam, brother. In actuality,
it's the state of mind that operates it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Sorry, because I'm about to get crazy.
In actuality, the national ID is superior. The thing to take into consideration or into cognizance is what is a de jure or well-established national ID. That's what needs to be understood, not just some thing that was issued from, as a brother expressed, some body organization that is not officially or internationally established. Islam.
Even under their laws, 1208, Title 15 or 18, 1208, it states that in absence of a nationality card, driver's license, and state ID is accepted. But your national origin, so if you're of the land, that's what should be superior. What should be superior. I don't know if we need to orchestrate legislation to say that as well, but it even says that in the United States codes. Islam.
Correct. Right. That's reading it from what was it from Department of Justice? Yeah, that's what I was reading from. What about the nationality card being the highest form of identification, and I was also told by others as well.
Okay, fair enough. From that regard, yes. However, when they are talking about it, they're talking about it from the perspective of it being issued from another state, not issued from a website. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for you to say, or for anyone to stand there square on a nationality card that came from anything other than a state. The power of the Constitution is was transferred over into that document or that instrument called a state ID. So what power is being transferred into that nationality card that came from wherever, including the temple? Stop flashing your cards at the Europeans. It's causing confusion because this is an organization and not a state government. So stop running around like you some sovereign. It's just a membership card, Moors. This is what the prophet was trying to tell the Moors. We're an arrogant people for good reasons, because we are the cradle of civilization. But we have to come in a competent manner and demonstrate that with the proper demonstration, the competent demonstration first. But then your arrogance shouldn't even exist, because now you're talking ego. And if you're talking ego, you're talking your lower self. So why do we have to be arrogant? Let's just be confident. There's a difference. confident in our Moroccan law, confident in our consanguinity, confidence in our state, our legislation, our constitution, but remain humble. But the reason why we arrogant is because it's a way to make up the difference for what you don't have. What is that? 3 branches of government. I yield before we close out in the next couple of minutes.
I had a question on my statement I made earlier. So would each state also have their own embassy or legation? Should they deal with somebody from AMPAG going to like Dempsey or Maru? Should they have any issues while moving about? Or if they're even they decide to live here for X amount of years or here for X amount of years, would they have an embassy, or would they just go through consular courts? Should they have any issues? And should they also, what I would assume they would also check in with whatever the heads of state or the prime ministers of each state
We
while
want
they're
to have,
in the state as well.
we want to have ingress egress type of situation. Like why should we have a dispute because a Moroccan national got in his car and began traveling from Georgia to, let's say, Alabama, and Alabama was reclaimed. Let's say the Moors in Alabama reclaimed that trust territory and called it Alabama, for example, right? And so they have established their self-governance in Alabama. We established our self-governance in Georgia, the state of the charter state of Georgia, the dependency state of Georgia, right? So Alabama and AMPAG, they're part of the Wazir Regional Council. What dispute should we have by traveling? I left AMPAG to go visit my grandmother in Alabama. Why should we have any disputes? Are we gonna get past the drama between us and start being able to live together in harmony and in unity? However, if there is a dispute, consular court comes in, brother. To answer your question, it would be consular court. No. I apologize. Wrong answer. Supreme Court. There's a difference between Supreme Court and consular court, though it's the same court. Consular court deals with disputes with foreign nations, i.e. the United States. Supreme Court, the same court would be then the Supreme Court when it's dealing with internal affairs within either your government or amongst your other states, just amongst Moors, period, within the Empire of Morocco, our internal affairs. But externally, dealing with any other foreign nation, that's where consular court comes in. So we wouldn't need an embassy or a consular or anything like that dealing with our several states. We need an embassy dealing with foreign and legations dealing with foreign entities. So consular court, embassies, legations, etc. Those operations is dealing with foreign policy. Whereas your question is based in domestic policy. So we would have to find a way to, not find a way. If there's a dispute, you go through the Supreme Court. Simple as that. But then again, matters that we must discuss amongst ourselves as to how we want to operate with one another through the Wazir Regional Council Convention. Islam.
And it's also respect and recognition, because in our law we have to enact that we're going to respect the sovereignty of each other's nationals.
Right. That's right. Go ahead, bro.
That's,
I was saying that's right. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, brother. Are you finished, or I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying I agree.
oh no, I just wanted to add that I'm done.
Oh, okay. Islam. That's right. We enact legislation to deal with each other, to govern each other, to get along with each other. Great point of interest. I can't even believe I forgot to mention that. One last question or comment or point of interest, and then we'll close out.
Islam.
Islam.
Is it suggested to change to an appellation that's totally Moroccan?
It's suggested to add your bay or ill to your current name. However,
Okay.
right to self-determination, you do as you see fit. But me, for example, Abdul Smith, that's my birth name. I just added bay to it.
Okay. I yield. Thank you.
Very welcome. All names are Moroccan names, really, anyway, because the whole world is Morocco. So,
I meant appellation. Sorry.
or appellation name. Okay, let's talk about the words and definitions of things. Again, we have chosen between the entire submissions of the laws of the empire. So our sovereign state determines what words mean. Legislation. So, and if driving in the United States is an issue, but traveling is the correct term, then in your constitution, or should I say in your legislation, you say driving, traveling, all that means leaning back with your elbows out the window, with the sunroof top down, digging the scene with a gangster lean. Woo woo. Woo woo. We say what it means. We determine or identify the terms and the words in our legislation within our jurisdiction. Name, appellation, it all means the same. I don't get caught up with the semantics. I'm past that. I used to.
Islam.
I don't have a car, I have a conveyance. I don't drive, I travel. Man, please. Ain't no magic word is going to keep you out of jail if you are a Moorish subject. However, if that's a concern, you enact legislation within your state to identify the terms as you see them fit. Simple as that. Somebody said Islam were the last point of interest, or was that in Islam in agreement?
In agreement.
Islam. So we'll close out here. Excellent questions, excellent dialogue. Excellent dialogue. I enjoyed the gold standard dialogue. I always enjoyed that. But to summarize, brothers and sisters, Moroccans, Moors, nationals, and soon-to-be nationals, nationality is the order of the day. But your nationality doesn't come from nowhere other than your state government. Your state confers your nationality. It's not enough to just simply proclaim or declare verbally or even on paper your nationality. You got to change your status if you want to be an actual national. And in order to change your status, you have to consent or take up an allegiance to a Moroccan state government who recognizes your status as a national and issues you the documents to prove said national identity. And the power of these documents is being transferred from the Constitution. And what is the Constitution? It's a bunch of people. It's a state of mind. A bunch of people who came together in their state of mind as sovereigns and enacted a contract. So these people went into contract with each other, a holy matrimony, if you will, to establish the state and the three branches of government. So the power came from the power came from the people. And so the power came from the people to establish the state. And in like manner, the state itself transfers the power back to the people as protections, as sovereigns. But the sovereignty came from the state. It did not come from you as an individual Moor because your consanguinity is that of a Moor and you conquered Europe and uplifted everyone. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is the three branches of government: the Wazir, Al-Rais, your prime minister, the matriarch, the Sayaraha, and the Dalil Aziz, the matriarchal council, and the speaker of the house, and your last but not least, your chief judge or Qazi of consular court. Consular court comes through the state. Consular court does not exist as a standalone entity. More, that's putting the cart before the horse. Your state establishes consular court. Consular court never exists on its own. Nationality indeed is the order of the day. But what is nationality? Let's go to the definition. What is nationality? Where are we? This is nation. National. Nationality. A legal relationship involving allegiance on the part of an individual and usually protection on the part of the state. Your nationality and your protections come from your state. I yield with that. Peace, love, and light to everyone. I look forward to speaking to you again next Sunday, possibly Wednesday. I'll let you know ahead of time. Oh, and before I go, can someone please volunteer to be a moderator to make sure that people stay on mute? Send me a text message if you're interested, and then I'll give you a call so that we can get control of this whole mute situation. Islam. So may you all have a wonderful evening. I yield, and peace, love, and prosperity to you all. May the blessings of Allah be upon you all. Islam.
No,
Islam,
no.
peace.
Don't be trying to run off. We still trying to hang out.
Ha! Gotta go to work, brother. Yeah,
Hey,
you gotta go to work too.
Hey, look, my truck broke down. That's why I'm able to hang out like that.
I see. I see. Well, I need to break down a little bit more often. I love your presence, good brother.
I know.
But you got to get your money, so it's all good, bro.
Yeah, we got to survive until we don't have to no more.
Indeed, brother. Indeed. Islam. All right. Peace and love, everybody. Enjoy your evening. Peace, love, and light.
Peace to you all.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. Islam.